good morning. Roll number 56. I have
बोलिए।
some doubts regarding to the micro teaching and the report.
ठीक है मैम, इस पे क्या करना है, एक बार सर से मैं बोलता हूँ तो बोलने के लिए
हाँ।
फिर आपको बताएंगे कि माइक्रो टीचिंग के जरिए क्या करना है।
माइक्रो टीचिंग में 10
हेलो
मिनट
सर।
यस
presentation.
यस मैम, आपको सर बता देंगे अभी सर का, क्योंकि आपने ऑलरेडी 100% ज्वाइन हो चुके हैं। एक बार लेक्चर स्टार्ट करते हैं, सर को मैं टाइम लेके भी आपको एक बार सर कल मॉर्निंग सेशन में आपको
I
बता
couldn't
दूंगा।
get you, sir. I
हेलो
couldn't.
सर।
Sir, please.
Hello, sir.
English.
रोल नंबर 9 सर.
फीडबॅकचा विषय जरा बघा ना, फीडबॅक होत नाही.
सर
त्यांनी
प्लीज
आलेली
वेट
user
करा,
नाही.
आता काय ऑलरेडी जॉईन झालेला आहे, मी चेक करतो.
अकराच्या
ठीक आहे,
40ला पाहिजे.
रोल नंबर 9, रोल नंबर 9, प्लीज स्टार्ट द रीड द बायोडा.
हा, येस सर. आवाज येतोय सर? हॅलो,
एक मिनिट सर.
आवाज येतोय?
हो येतोय.
हा, येस सर. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, व्हेरी गुड मॉर्निंग टू रिस्पेक्टेड सर and all my colleagues. I am Dr. Kula, Assistant Professor, Srimant Bhayasaheb Rajemane, Mahavidyalay, Maswad. Today I am going to introduce in this the UGC-MMTC Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, online refresher course in disaster management. Introduce the eminent personality, respected Dr. Bhaskar Idage, former scientist, Plumber Science and Engineering Division, CSIR, National Chemical Laboratory, Dr. Homeo Baba Road, Pune. His educational qualification is PhD, Polymer Chemistry, National Chemical Laboratory, University of Pune. 1984 Research Guide, Dr. N.D. Gatge. MSc 1979 Organic Chemistry, Dr. Bamu, Aurangabad. And BSc 1977 Chemistry, Dr. Bamu, Aurangabad. Diploma in Web Enabled to Technologies 2003 CDAC, Pune. Research interest biodegradable polymer farmers, renewable resource materials, polymers from controlled drug delivery, polymer recycling, high performance polymers, nanomaterials, optical quality materials, telechelis, polymers quality management, laboratory safety practices, intellectual property rights. Research experience 40 years in the design, synthesis and characterization of polymers. 2005 to 2007 Brainpol scientist, Korea Research Institute of Chemical Technology, South Korea. 1997 to 2000 visiting scientist, General Electric Corporate Research Development Center, New York, USA. 2001 to 2002 visiting scientist, General Electric Company, Spain. 1992 visiting scientist, Switzerland. Key achievement: research grant received American dollars 31 lakhs and Indian rupees Rs 5.3 crores. National awards 3, member of professional society 10, scientific research publication, national and international conference papers 135, national and international patents 56, memos reports 12, invited text 130, national international webinars 40, MS, MTech, MPharm, PhD student 40, MS PhD thesis examined 56, reviewer of the international journals 16, guest of honor and resource person 63, visiting professor, DBAMU Bamu Aurangabad, STMU Nanded, KBCNMU Jalgaon, RTMNU Nagpur, SGBAU Amravati, University of Mumbai, Mumbai. Other interest: intellectual property rights, laboratory safety practice, thermal analysis of polymers, computer programming and web enabled technologies, application of Six Sigma tools for quality management. Thank you so much giving me this wonderful opportunity to introduce today's speaker of this session. Now I will request to continue this session. Thank you, sir.
Hello, can you listen me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor, for nice introduction. Good morning to all the esteemed participants of this course. Refresher course in disaster management organized by UGC HRDC Center of Bamu, Aurangabad. First of all, I would like to thank all the organizers of this course for inviting me to share my knowledge and experience in the field of disaster management. My special thanks goes to Professor Satish Patil, Director, and Mr. Mohammad Abdul Rafiq, Assistant Director of UGC HRDC, and Professor Ram Chavan and Professor Bhaskar Sate for inviting me to share my knowledge and experience for the benefit of the participants. Friends, since I am working in this area for last 4 decades, it will be very nice to share my knowledge and experience in the field of disaster management. And I am still more happy because I am an alumni of this university. So it is always a pleasure to share my knowledge and experience for the benefit of the participants. Without taking much time, I will start my talk. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How to go to PowerPoint show? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Without
Yes.
taking much time, I hope you will see my presentation. My talk is divided into 2 parts that I will share on which topic I will be talking. So first talk will be the chemical disaster management. Since I have devoted my about 4 decades of my life in the chemical field area, I would like to share some of the disaster management techniques, tools, and the accidents, how they happen, and what are the remedies into that. And talk 2 will be the laboratory safety practices, okay? Or you can say that good laboratory practices, people who are working in the different laboratories, it will be beneficial for these people. Even in the houses also, people are using some equipment. It will be easy to use them. So the talk 1 will consist of disaster management. I will cover what are the main causes, what are the different steps, and what is your role. And then in the second part, I will say what are the chemical disasters, what are the main causes, why chemical disasters happen, what are the different effects on the human being, on the nature, and on the society, and worldwide how it is happened. And I will cover top 10 disasters, which are the big disasters, chemical disasters, and some case studies. Talk 2, I will cover what are the lab accident causes, why laboratory safety is important, okay, and what is the protocol for the laboratory safety training, and what are your responsibilities when you are working in any laboratories, how to use different chemicals, how to deal with electrical safety, how to go for the chemical storage, for keeping the chemicals into the laboratory. If there is any chemical spill, what is your role? Okay. And the safety equipments, then hazardous identification and the mandatory safety rules. So I will start with the first talk. What is disaster? And what is disaster management? And what is the aim of disaster management? Okay, why you want to implement the disaster management tools and techniques? Basically to reduce or avoid the potential losses from the hazards. This is the main aim of the disaster management. To assure the prompt and the appropriate assistance to victims of disaster and to achieve rapid and effective recovery. Then the organization and management of resource and the responsibilities for dealing with all humanitarian aspects of emergencies. In particular, what is the preparedness in case of disaster management? What is your response? How you should respond in case of some accidents, and response and the recovery in order to lessen the impact of disaster. If you follow these techniques, then you can definitely lessen, okay, the impact of the disaster. And what type of disasters are there? Basically, there are three types of disaster. Main is the natural disaster. Second is the man-made disaster. And this is the third one is the combination of both. That is a hybrid. How I can go for PowerPoint show here?
Yes.
How to go
Sir,
to
this is
PowerPoint?
Word file, sir, I think.
No, this is a PowerPoint slides, but how to go for PowerPoint show?
No, sir, this is Word file.
No, this is a PPT slide. This is a
Slide
PPT
show starting from this slide.
F5 button. Press the F5 button.
Sir, go for to this slide show.
Stop sure. Stop
Slide
share.
show and then here left side current slides.
Okay, once I hear, but it doesn't go to
Left side, left
सर
second
उजव्या
icon.
बाजूला
Sir.
तर एक साईड आहे ना तिथे हे करा सर उजव्या बाजूला अजून खाली खाली ते जे डमरू सारखं आहे तिथे
इकडे
उजव्या बाजूला जे आहे ना सर साईन तुमचा कर्सर उजव्या बाजूला दाखवा बरं
इथं
सर जे मायनसचं साईन आहे ना त्याच्या डाव्या बाजूला जे 50 लिहिलेलं आहे ना सर 50% त्याच्या एक्झॅक्ट लेफ्ट साईडचं जे साईन आहे तिथे सर
सर F5 प्रेस करा
सर टीव्हीचा साईन दिलेला आहे सर स्क्रीनचा
हा येस
स्क्रीनचा साईन
50
दिलेला आहे
शेजारी
तिथे टाईप करा सर हा
इथंच का? स्टॉप व्हिडिओ.
उजव्या बाजूला जिथे 50% लिहिलंय त्याच्या शेजारी सर
मला नाही दिसत इथं 50%.
सर तिथे टीव्हीचा स्क्रीन दिसतोय ना,
खालच्या
sign
बारला
टाकलेला.
खालचा बार आहे ना त्या ठिकाणी
जिथे झूम करतो आपण
सर F5 प्रेस करा
मायनसच्या ठिकाणी बाजूला डाव्या साईडला
F5 प्रेस केलं तरी होईल सर
नाही होत.
हा अजून थोडं उजव्या बाजूला सर थोडं उजव्या बाजूला खाली 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 खाली
खाली सर खाली आणखी थोडं खाली आणखी
हा, अजून थोडा उजव्या बाजूला या
इथं रिमोट कंट्रोल.
कर्सर टीव्हीचा साईन दिसतो सर तिथे कम्प्युटरचा साईन दिसतोय
इथं मला नाही दिसत.
सर
हे
खालचा
खाली
जो बार
बार
आहे ना, तिथे
दिसतोय ना?
दिसत असेल ना सर
खालच्या बारच्या तिथे आहे सर खालची बारवर आहे तिथे कम्प्युटरचा साईन दिसतोय तुम्हाला स्क्रीनचा छोटासा
कदाचित तो बार आपल्याला दिसतोय सरांना दिसत नसावा
नाही
बहुतेक
मला नाही दिसत तो.
हो सर इथे आम्हाला आहे ना वर्ड फाईल दिसते तुम्हाला वर्ड फाईल दिसत नसेल सर F5 दाबा ना सर
F5 दाबा ना सर
नाही होत.
F5 is also not working.
F5 न होईल
सर
सर
सर तुमचा जो एक्झॅक्ट कर्सर आहे ना त्याला थोडंसं राईट साईडला घेऊन खाली घ्या सर
खाली घ्या सर
अजून थोडा राईट
आणखी
साईड
खाली
अजून राईट साईड घ्या थोडा राईट साईड घ्या
दिस इज रिमोट कंट्रोल.
कर्सर खाली घ्या सर कर्सर खाली 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 हा थोडा वरती.
Okay, okay. There is no point in wasting time. Okay.
ओके सर दिसतंय काय प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
Then what are the steps in the disaster management? You can see, no problem. Okay. So there are different steps are there in the disaster management. Basically, the prevention, how to prevent it, mitigate, and the preparedness, and your response and the recovery. What is covered in the prevention? The best way to address disaster is by being proactive. You should be always proactive whenever there are any disasters or there are any accidents. Then next is the mitigation. It aims basically to minimize the loss of human life that would result from a disaster. Human life is very, very important. So friends, always keep in mind, mitigation is a very important step in case of disaster management. And preparedness. You should be always prepared to face any type of accident happening anywhere. Okay. And your response. Response is very, very important. Most of the times it is difficult to convey the message to the society or to the party or to the controlling agencies. And there happens the accident cause into big recovery. Okay. And then last is the recovery. Recovery from all the disaster managements and start your new goal. So what are the stages in disaster management? Then first is the planning, second is the management, and third one is the recovery. So man-made disasters are hazardous material spills. Most of the times we work in the laboratories. Most of the time there is a spillage of chemicals in the lab. Then most of the times chemical goes in the eyes, on the body, and on the clothes. Okay, and fires. Fire is also very important. Most of the times fire happens in the laboratories, on different buildings or in different stores. And at that time, we should know how to extinguish the fire. Most of the times there are fire extinguishers lying, but most of the people, they don't know how to operate it. Even though people know the operations, most of the times the fire extinguishers are not serviced properly. So they never work when there is a fire. Okay, this is the basic stairs, basic cause of the main accidents. Then groundwater contamination. Nowadays, we are facing a lot of difficulty of this groundwater contamination. That's why there is a need to drink the purified water. Otherwise, when I was a child, I never used to drink this bottled water. Okay, I used to always drink the groundwater, which is coming from the well, okay, in my village. But now we are the responsible for the contamination of this. Then transportation accidents. This is very common nowadays. Most of the accidents are happening because of the high speed, because of the good roads, or because you can't control your vehicle and you just enjoy and end up into accidents. Then structure failures. Most of the times because of the poor civil engineering, okay, structures are falling down, or most of the time structures are very old, they get damaged. Then mining accidents. In mining also there are several accidents happening most of the times. Explosions and the act of terrorism. This is nowadays very common. We should always be careful about who is your next person, how he behaves, okay, and how he operates. What is the role of disaster management? Actually, what disaster management should do? Disaster management groups, we should form a group in every university, every department, every industry, or every company. And the role of that group is it should operate at local, district, and the state levels. Okay, they should be the trained people. We have to give the standard training protocols to them, and they should be responsible for such type of accidents. They are responsible basically for planning. If some accidents are happening, but how we should plan to extinguish, suppose fire is there, organize, then coordination. Coordination is very, very important in case of any disaster management techniques. Okay, if there is no coordination between the people, between the organization, between the company, between the people, then you end up with big accidents. Then implementation of all measures to mitigate, prevent, prepare for response
Badly.
to and recover for the disaster events. Then what are the advantages of disaster management? You can save the cost. Cost efficiency is very, very important. If you plan it properly, manage it properly, then you can efficiently minimize the cost. Disaster recovery plans have multiple components. Then increase employee productivity. If you are good in disaster management techniques, then you can improve your employee productivity. Who is talking, please? Could you put off your mic? I'm getting some back sound.
तुपारे सर
Hello, I am organizing.
तुमचा
Hello,
mic
sir.
बंद.
Hello, I am
Okay.
requesting
Tupare
to
sir,
the
mic बंद
organizers
करा,
that
sir,
there is a
please.
back sound, somebody is talking. Hello? Thank you. That increase employee productivity, disaster recovery plan will have to be executed by the right people, greater customer retention, and a better understanding of the scalability. What are the top 10 natural disasters? I want to give here a list of the top 10 disasters. 2010 is a Haiti earthquake. Most of the people must have read about this. In 2004 is the Indian Ocean earthquake and the tsunami. This is a very famous accident, famous natural disaster. 1976, Tungshan earthquake. 1970, Bhola cyclone. In 1931, Yangtze River floods. 1920 is the Haiyan earthquake. 1887 is the Yellow River floods. 1881 is the Haiphong typhoon. Then 1839 is the Koringa cyclone. 1556 is the Shaanxi earthquake. Then 1138 is the Alipotis. Last one, I'm going to read it. What is chemical disaster? Basically, unintentional release of one or
ऑलरेडी
more
कॉलेजला देतोय ना ते कसं चालेल
unintentional release of one or more hazardous
हो दे तुझं हो दे
substances
मग तिथलं हो दे ना
which could harm health or the environment.
कॉलेजला ते नेट देतो ना आपल्याला त्याचं बिल
Roll number 16, 66, please mute your
कॉलेजला ऑलरेडी देतो
line.
If I get the back sound, then I am not interested to delivering the talk. Okay.
Sir, due to 66 roll number, we can't listen
Hey,
properly.
you are all qualified people. You should follow some manners. The chemical disasters basically are unintentional release of one or more hazardous substances which could harm human health or the environment. The chemical hazards are systems where chemical accidents could occur under circumstances like fires, explosions, leakages, or release of toxic or the hazardous material. Most of the times you must have seen such type of accidents are happening in the chemical industries or in the chemical laboratories or in the different industries. Okay, due to the chemical leakage, some explosions have happened. Okay, and these chemicals are furthermore, they are very hazardous materials. Okay, people and it causes into people illness, injury, and the disability. Then storing and transportation and use of toxic material. Most of the times we don't know how to store the chemicals at the different place, which is a safe way that I will cover in my second talk. Okay, so the most severe accidents are industrial accidents involving the major chemical manufacturing and the storage facilities. Most of the times we store the chemicals for the years together, and then we finally end up with some accidents. This is a bad habit. We should destroy, okay, the chemicals which are not useful for maybe years together. Most significant accident is the 1984. You may be knowing that the Bhopal disaster in India, more than 3,000 people had died after a highly toxic vapor of methyl isocyanate. Okay, this was a big Bhopal accident. What are the main causes of the disaster? The main causes of accident in the workplace are basically the lifting. You should know how to transfer one chemical from one place to the other place, one equipment from one place to the other place. Next is the fatigue. Third is the dehydration. most of the times chemical accidents are happening because of the dehydration, okay, of the high temperatures, okay, happening in the laboratories, poor lighting, then hazardous materials, act of workplace violence, and tips and falls, okay. These are the causes of the chemical disaster. And stress, most of the times we work under stress in the laboratories or in the industries or in the companies, and then we end up into accidents. What are the main causes basically of the chemical disaster? Human error. This is the main cause, okay, because of which the chemical disasters are. A majority of the industrial accidents that occur every year are a result of human error. Okay, we do some simple silly mistake because, and most of the mistakes are happening nowadays because of the use of mobile phones in the laboratories or in the industries or in the companies or in other places. Okay, that is one of the main cause of the human error. Okay, the worker failing to follow the safety procedures. Most of the times people, they don't know what are the safety procedures to be followed in the laboratories, in the companies, or while operating any system, okay, that have been put into place by the company. This is the responsibility of the first company, and then how to use it, you have to give the proper training, and then it should go to the grassroots. The majority of industrial injuries, basically about 75%, happen in the service-related industry, according to the Bureau of the Labor Statistics. These are some of the statistics, and they are saying that about 75% of industrial injuries are happen due to, according to some such type of accidents. Improper use of equipment by a personnel. Most of the times we start using some equipment, whether it is in house, it is in the industry, or it is in some other places. You have not been given the proper training. And in this case, most of the times, whenever you buy any equipment, they give the SOP. What is SOP? Standard Operating Procedure. First of all, you should read the SOP. Even you buy a vehicle, even you buy a two-wheeler also, they will provide you a SOP. And by following the SOP, you should follow different steps so that you will never end up with some accidents. And next is the proper training. SOP reading and the training, these two factors are very, very important. Suppose you want to avoid the chemical disaster accidents. Many injuries happen due to improper use of tools to work on the equipment, this damage the machines. Most of the times, the people are not trained. So they don't know how to use some equipment or how to use some chemical or how to dispose of some chemical. Because of such ignorance, we are ending up with the chemical disaster accidents. And you must have seen now there are several accidents in Mumbai recently, and these are the main causes of those accidents. I have shown some of the photographs of the human error, how we end up with the disasters, chemical disaster accidents, okay, or any other accidents. Next is the chemical storage. People who are working in the chemical environment, especially in the chemical laboratories, colleges, universities, or industries, you should know how to store the chemical. Okay, what is your responsibility? Like you manage the different items in your house, similarly, you have to manage the storage of chemicals into the laboratories, into the industries, okay? Chemical accidents may occur whenever a toxic materials are stored, transported, or used. Most of the times, toxic materials we store, we don't know what is the standard operating procedure. We start using it. Neither he has been trained or he has been told by his supervisor how to use it, and therefore we end up with some accidents. The most significant chemical accident is recorded in the history is 1984 Bhopal disaster. Okay, this was the big accident which has happened due to the poor chemical storage. Okay, you must know the 1984 Bhopal disaster. In more than 50,000 people had died after a highly toxic vapor of methyl isocyanate was released at the Union Carbide pesticide industry, and several people have been died. There was a lot of loss to the industry also. What are the main causes of this disaster? Bhopal disaster, process and safety system failure, because they have never been tested properly or on the proper interval of time. And the human error. Third one is the technical error. Fourth one is the management error. And the fifth one is the induced effect of the natural calamities and accidents during the transportation, hazardous process and disposal, and the terrorist attack. These are basically the several regions, main causes of the chemical disaster. What are the effects of chemical disaster? Chemicals can affect the skin by contact or body, either through the digestive system or through the lungs. If air is contaminated with chemicals and vapors, okay, your body will be contaminated with the chemicals. Okay, that's why you have to use some personal protective equipments that I will cover in the second topic. There can be an acute or the immediate effect or a chronic, medium or the long-term effect from the accumulation of chemicals or substances in or on the body. Most of the times, if there is some chemical vapor leakage into this laboratory in the industry, they go on accumulating and your body get absorbed those chemical vapors, and there will be either a long-term effect or a short-term effect, depending on the severity of the chemicals. The toxic pollution of the chemical disaster basically happens due to when chemicals are released into our environment and disrupt the balance of our ecosystem, threatening our health, polluting the air we breathe and contaminating our food. Okay. There are many sources of chemical pollution. Our technological advances have made us specific, largely reliant on chemicals, and these chemicals are toxic to life and our environment. What are the sources of the pollution in the chemical disaster? Basically, the agriculture, transportation, industry, and anthropogenic activities. Pesticide pollution in chemical disaster happens. This is the main cause. The crop plants are infected by very disease-causing organisms called a pest. They cause damage to the crops, human and the other animals. The insects, mice, and other animals, unwanted plants, fungi, microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses. Basically, pesticides refer to a substance or a mixture of substances that is meant to prevent, destroy, repel, or mitigate any pest. It includes the insecticides, fungicides, and other substances that are used to control the pest. For example, the cockroach sprays, which we are using in the houses, then the repellents, insect repellents, the tick sprays, and the powders. So the soil becomes deficient in micronutrient because of the chemical contamination. The deficiency of the carbon content in soil results in decrease in water and the nutrient holding capacity. Increased usage of pesticides have caused disorders of endocrine system, particularly the thyroid, parathyroid, pituitary glands, kidneys, and etc. So the greatest benefit of using pesticides. Can you stop talking? Can you mute yourself? Hello.
गौरव सर, सगळ्यांना म्यूट करून टाका. सगळ्यांना म्यूट करून टाका म्हणजे प्रॉब्लेम सॉल्व्ह होईल.
I am unable to talk. I am just listening to their stories.
So
you are all qualified people, no? So
दादांना अभिवादन करण्यासाठी श्रद्धांजली समर्पित करण्यासाठी या ठिकाणी आपण जमलेलो आहोत. दादांचा खरा उल्लेख करावा असा जर आला तर आपल्याला म्हणता येईल ते राजकारणामध्ये आले, पण त्यांनी निवड राजकारण न करता समाजकारण करण्यासाठी ते राजकारणात. कारण राजकारणाचा उपयोग त्यांनी जो केला तो खरा समाजकारणासाठी. त्याच्यामुळेच रायगड जिल्हा किंवा आपलं महाराष्ट्र
रोल नंबर 66 प्लीज
सगळ्या भागामध्ये अदरवाईज जर बघायला गेलं तर पूर्वीचा जो काळ होता रायगड जिल्ह्यामध्ये किती शाळा होती, किती लोक सुशिक्षित होते, किती लोकांकडे विजेची सोय होती, किती गावं अशी वंचित होती, रस्त्या पाण्यावर म्हणजे मे महिन्यात तो अगदी मार्च मे महिना आला की पाण्याची किती टंचाई असायची. हे जे काही साधे साधे प्रश्न होते पण सर्वसामान्य माणसाला ते भेडसावणारे होते. या प्रश्नाचा त्यांनी विचार केला आणि म्हणूनच बरोबर ते आणि त्यांचं कुटुंब या राजकारणामध्ये आलं.
Can I stop my talk?
राजकारणाच्या ज्या सोयी सुविधा असतील त्या त्यांनी गोरगरिबांसाठी वापरले.
Hello.
असं बघायला गेलो तर आजचा जो काळ आहे राजकारण बोलणं म्हणजे निव्वळ
हॅलो सर नमस्ते, मी फोन करतो सर त्यांना
राजकारण केलं
5 मिनिटात फोन करतो.
Because I am unable to talk.
काय अपवाद आज एकही कोणाकोणाच नाव घ्यायचं नाही आपण, पण अशा पद्धतीचं राजकारण करणारा महाराष्ट्राच्या राजकारणामध्ये आहे आणि म्हणून त्याला आदर आपण त्याला म्हणतो काय ते नेते म्हणतो. गोरगरिबांचे प्रश्न असो, शेतकऱ्यांचे प्रश्न असो, भूमिपुत्रांचे प्रश्न असो, मच्छीमारांचे प्रश्न असो, सेल वगैरे अशा पद्धतीने जे काही प्रश्न वगैरे या प्रश्नामध्ये किंवा या प्रसंगामध्ये आपल्या पाठीशी बरोबर खंबीरपणे जो नेता उभा राहिला किंवा त्यांच्या नंतरही त्याच्या प्रेरणेने आजही आपल्या भागातले या समाजातले लोक उभे राहतात त्याच्या पाठीमागे केवळ आणि केवळ नेमकी प्रेरणा. राजकारणाचा विचार केला तर दादांनी काय केलं, फक्त वैचारिक बांधिलकी, फक्त सामाजिक बांधिलकी एवढंच नाही. विधानसभेमध्ये पण विधानसभेच्या विषयावर तुमचे काही प्रश्न होते ते प्रश्न वकिली ज्ञानाने वकिली तंत्रज्ञानाने हुशार पद्धतीने सोडवले. म्हणून त्यांचा जो दरारी आवाज होता किंवा त्यांचं जे व्यक्तिमत्व होतं या व्यक्तिमत्वापुढे त्या काळात सरकार जर बघायला गेलो तर शरद पवार म्हणा किंवा काँग्रेसचे अजून बरेचसे नेते त्यांच्याबरोबर दादांनी चांगली माहिती होती बाहेर. प्रश्न असतील विधानसभेमध्ये लोकांच्या समस्या असतील या समस्यांवर बोलताना प्रसंगी तिखटही बोलून त्यांनी लोकांचे प्रश्न लागले सोडवले. झाला पुढचा भाग. आज आपल्या आपण त्या ठिकाणी उभे आहोत ज्या वास्तवामध्ये उभा आहोत
कुठेतरी फोन करून सांगायला पाहिजे थांबा म्हणून.
आपल्या शाळा कॉलेजेस मेडिकल कॉलेजेस हे सगळ्यांची उभारणी कशासाठी केली तर आपल्या रायगड मधल्या आपल्या कोकणामधला कुठलाही विद्यार्थी हा शिक्षणाविणं नोकरी मिळणं रोजगार मिळणं एकमेव ध्येय जे नाना पाटलांनी दादांच्या वडिलांनी जे ठरवलं होतं याचेच बरोबर पावलावर पाऊल टाकून दादांनी कार्य केलं. दादांच्या सुट्टीला खांद्याला त्यांचे जे बंधू होते प्रभाकर पाटील यांनी या कामगिरीमध्ये त्यांच्यासोबत बरोबर मोलाची साथ दिली आणि म्हणूनच शिक्षणाचं विकासाचं दार आजपर्यंत या ठिकाणी सर्व ठिकाणी
लोक मीटिंगला जॉईन केल्याच्या नंतर लेक्चर कसं घेऊ शकतात?
आपली भाषा कशी होती बघा ना, या भागात बघायला गेला आगरी कोळी समाज जर बघायला गेला तर भाषा कशी होती.
मला त्यांचंच लेक्चर ऐकायला लागतं, मला काय बोलताच येत नाही.
आपल्याकडे बघून किंवा आपला वावर बघून आपण या समाजात असं कोणाला वाटणार पण नाही.
किती कमाल आहे आता ही.
सर मी त्यांना फोन केला जाधववार सरांना पण ते फोन उचलत नाहीये सर.
एवढं शब्द बोलतो आणि
जाधववार सर नाव आहे त्यांचं.
हो ना हो ना.
फोन पण
होस्टनी त्याला म्यूट करून टाका ना त्यांना एकदा प्लीज.
ते आपल्याला नाही करता येणार ना सर, जे होस्ट आहे त्यांना करता येईल.
हो ना, होस्टला मग फोन करून सांगायला पाहिजे ना आपल्याला.
गौरव सरांचा नंबर कोणाकडे आहे?
आहे माझ्याकडे. बोलतो मी गौरव सरांना लगेच.
केला त्यांना फोन उचलत नाहीत गौरव सर.
उचलत नाहीये.
मी पण केला, फोन नाही उचलत आहे. मी पहिले गौरव सरांनाच केला. काल तसं अनम्यूट केलं होतं ना, तसं अनम्यूट करून द्या आम्हाला असं सांगितलं मी त्यांना, पण फोन नाही उचलत आहे.
हॅलो, मी अमोल सरांना कॉल करून बघतो, त्यांना सांगतो तसं.
गौरव सरांचा फोन बिझी आहे.
त्याला सगळे नमन करतात. त्यामुळे आज राजकारणाचं ज्याला आपण द्रोणाचार्य म्हणतो ते सुद्धा म्हटलेलं आहे. दत्ता पाटीलमध्ये त्या विधानसभेमध्ये गुरु आहे. तर त्यांना त्यांनी मानलं ते दादा म्हणून त्याचे कार्य आपण काही पाहिलेलं आहे, आपण ते अनुभवतोय. खरं तर या संपूर्ण विकासामध्ये दादांचा वाटा आहे तो आपण अनमोल असा वाटा आहे आपण बोलू शकत नाही. आणि
बोललो गौरव सरांशी आले, ते गौरव सरांशी बोललो.
कोकण त्याच्यामध्ये कोकण भाषेचा वाटा सुद्धा थोडासा मोठा आहे. कोकणाचा सर्वांगीण विकास करायला सुरू केला तो दादाने केला.
रिसोर्स पर्सन सर, सॉरी
आपल्यामध्ये येते आणि त्या प्रेरणेलाच आम्ही
गौरव सर
गौरव सर से बात हो गई मेरी और 2 मिनट में बंद कर देंगे.
त्याच्यामध्ये खालीचा वाटा
बात हो गई सर से.
त्यामुळे आपण सर्वांनी या ठिकाणी एकदा अभिवादन करावं आणि आज त्यांच्या जन्मदिनी या ठिकाणी त्यांना आदरांजली वाहावी.
सर shall we continue sir?
सर आता माईक तुमचं अनम्यूट करायचं फक्त. ऑलरेडी पार्टिसिपंटचा माईक मी बंद केलाय सर. हॅलो भास्कर सर तुमचं माईक अनम्यूट करा सर.
सर एक रिक्वेस्ट होती, सरांची जी पीपीटी आहे ती वर्ड फाईल मध्ये ओपन आहे सर, तर तिला जर पीपीटी फॉर्मॅट मध्ये ओपन करता आली तर बरं होईल सर, कारण ती लहान दिसते.
ठीक आहे सर.
प्लीज सर. ओके थँक्यू.
आता ऍडमिशन कुठे घेतले तिने?
भास्कर सर आपला माईक चालू करा सर.
Can we proceed?
Okay sir, audible.
Okay. I hope there will not be any disturbance again. So what are the pesticide advantage in chemical disaster? Basically, the greatest benefit of using pesticide is controlling the population of pesticides, pest species basically. Then pesticides help in eliminating the disease vectors, plantation. Then application of pesticides to crop leads to the agriculture augmentation. That is, the plants are able to grow more healthy as the pest can neither feed nor lay eggs. So pesticide disadvantages, chemical disaster are basically the pest resistance. Resistance of pest is very, very important because most of the pest, they are not stable for a long time at the natural conditions. And the toxic effects, and there are different effects on the human life. So pesticide precautions, basically you have to take in chemical disaster. Always read the label on the pesticide container and follow the instructions while using it. That is called standard operating procedure. And I will cover this in detail in my next talk. But whenever you touch any chemical bottle, any medicine, or any chemical, if you want to use it, or maybe eat it for your as a medicine, then you must read the standard operating procedure and the SOP. The pesticides should be kept out of reach to the children. Smoking must be avoided while spraying. Whenever you use any pesticide and you want to spray, you want to apply, okay, at different places, then always see that the smoking is strictly prohibited. The body should be properly clothed from head to toe to avoid the exposure of the body to the harmful chemicals. Always you must wear the safety glass, apron, safety shoes. This I will cover in detail in my second talk, but you should protect yourself first, okay? Then hands should be thoroughly washed after using the when personnel are not trained properly or adequately, industrial accidents are more likely to occur. Most of the times we recruit the people, we never give the proper training to them, and we tell them go and do this experiment or use this chemical, okay? Or do some other analysis of these materials without telling them what are the standard operating procedures of using such materials. Workers should be taught how to operate the equipment in the way it was designed to be used. Always you have to give the proper training to the people who are newly recruited into the laboratory, in the industry or any other places. They should also learn to employ the correct safety procedures when they are operating the equipment. Most of the times you must have seen very simple accidents there happening into our house also, because you don't know how to put the regulator, on, off, okay? And in that process, what happens most of the times, there is a release of gas into the house. And most of the times you must have observed, there are severe fires are happening in the houses also. Employees should be well versed in what to do if something goes wrong. You should know if there is any accident, then how to escape from that place, what are the emergency exit or what are the safety equipments. They can work to correct the problem quickly before it goes out of control. During 2009, 4.3 out of every 100 workers in manufacturing industry were involved in industrial accidents. I am showing some of the statistics, the old statistics. The majority of these accidents occurred as a result of improper training to the personnel. And this is the main cause of the most of the accidents. Accidents that occur in a chemical plant can also be the result of a manufacturing defect. Most of the times the accidents happens due to some defects, manufacturing defects, okay, into the machinery or into the equipment, or most of the times the chemicals are expired, the chemicals are not kept properly. The defects can be present in a piece of equipment or the material is used. Although the companies employ several quality control measures, during the manufacturing process, some of these may fail. This is because many of these control measures are handled by employees. Where humans are involved, there is always a chance of human error. Whenever there are humans involved, there is always a chance of the human error. So you should be very cautious whenever you are handling any machinery, handling any chemical, or operating any equipments. Inspector may miss a defect that occurred during manufacturing. The problem may not be recognized until after an accident has occurred. A common reason that industrial accidents occur in chemical plants is the improper maintenance of the equipment. This I will highly cover in my other talk, how the accidents have happened due to the improper maintenance of the equipment. The regular maintenance at the scheduled intervals following the manufacturing recommendations is important, ensuring that the equipment. That's why the annual maintenance contract is very, very important. Most of the times people, they buy the machinery, buy the equipment, and they never bother about after the 1 year warranty period, they never renew the service contract. And in that process, what happens, some accidents takes place. When a piece of equipment is not properly maintained, it can malfunction and ultimately fail. That is quite natural. Okay, so this can result in direct consequences to the personnel who is operating and working around the machine. Equipment failure basically is the main reason in the chemical disaster. That's why the use of inappropriate equipment is a big contributor to the chemical accidents, as it leads to the equipment manufacturing. That's why annual maintenance contract or the service contracts are very, very important. This includes the use of inappropriate chemical storage. Okay, that I will cover in detail in my second talk. Non-flammable units used to store flammables, for examples, means we buy the cabinets, but we never use for the required uses of that materials. Then the containment barriers or spill kits not being used correctly or failing to fulfill their purpose. Check the valve malfunctioning as they are not suited to the purpose intended. And the use of pressure relief systems which are not adequate to relieve the level pressure below. So ignorance of warning, most of the times in chemical laboratories, industries, okay, there are some equipment gives some warning, okay, and most of the times we put up the button and ignore that warning. So don't do that mistake. Please see that what type of warning that equipment is giving, okay. Immediately act with that equipment warning, concern with the expert people call the engineer and resolve those queries. Okay. Then the chemical spills. Most of the times in the laboratory, chemical spills are happening. And who is responsible for that? We are responsible because we never follow the standard operating procedure. We never use the safety equipments. We never use the safety goggles. We never use the aprons. We never use the safety shoes. And we end up with some big accidents of the chemical spillage. Then the personnel are not handling of the storing of chemicals. Most of the times what happens, we store the chemicals beyond your need because we are having too much attachment of the chemicals whenever you work any laboratories. The chemicals are lying there for maybe 10 years, 15 years, maybe 20 years for such long time. And even nobody knows what is the name of that chemical, what is the use of that chemical because there is no proper labeling system. The storage, chemical storage is not proper. There is no standard operating procedure. And we go on guessing or smelling and start using those chemicals and then finally end up with some accidents. Minor chemical combustions are not properly invested. Most of the times accidents are happening into the laboratory or in the industry and we say that, oh, it is a very small accident. Oh, forget about it. This must have happened due to this. But we never go to the root cause analysis of that accident, why this accident has happened. Maybe because of the improper chemical storage or maybe the expiry of the chemicals or maybe some leakage of some gases from the bottle. Then major accidents involving the chemical substances have local effects, but in exceptional circumstances, they can affect the whole regions because of the weather conditions. Most of the times you see that there are extreme weathers, especially if you go to the Aurangabad, you start working in the laboratories, in the summer, temperature will be 40 plus. And if I want to use some chemical which has a boiling point of maybe 44, 45, like ether, then ether will not remain into the container. It will be totally evaporated. It will go into the environment. So such type of weather conditions are there. So we should always be careful whenever you are using such type of chemicals. The scientific technical developments have made it possible to prevent the dangers and to protect. Government is always warning us, giving us the precautions, giving us the standard operating procedures, but we are responsible for that. We never follow them strictly. The priority must be on prevention. First, you have to prevent yourself, prevent the organization. You are more important than the experiment. So always keep in mind, whenever you perform any experiment, you are more important than the experiment. Okay? But a positive result can only be assured when there is a strict guidelines. That's why strict guidelines of the safety must be followed whenever you are working in the chemical environment or using any equipments. Preventive measures in chemical disaster, what preventive measures you have to take? When an accident involving chemical substances that could endanger life of the environment occurs in a chemical work or the installation, those in charge of it should immediately take the planned measures. What are those planned measures? The cause of the date accident, okay, and they implement the safety measures which will minimize its consequences. Immediately inform the relevant local authorities. Whenever there is any accident, always inform to your seniors and write a report of the accident in detail so that such type of accidents can be avoided in the future. The local or the regional authorities of the area in which the installation is located are responsible for informing the public sounding the alarm and should not. Never hide anything whenever such accidents are happening into any place. Okay. The local or the regional governing body ensures that they coordinated the use of the civil and the military thing. So it is a role of different people who are responsible for such type of accidents. Most of the times there are some civil accidents, some electrical accidents, some chemical accidents. So different types of accidents can happen. Okay. In the case of radioactivity, the technical coordination of the implementation of preventive and the rescue measures is assured by the. Suppose you are handling some radioactive materials. You should know how to use those radioactive materials. Do you have the facility of handling those radioactive materials? Okay. So worldwide, yes?
सर स्क्रोल होत नाहीये सर पीपीटी. पीपीटी स्क्रोल नाही होते सर, केव्हापासून एकाच याच्यावर स्थिर आहे.
नाही, माझ्याकडे तर होते.
बाकीच्यांना होते का?
माझ्याकडे तर होते.
नाही होत सर.
नाही
नाही
होते
होत?
सर प्लीज. नाही
आपल्याला दिसत नाहीये सर.
मग सांगायचं ना मग असेच. मग एंड करू का?
नाही सर ती तुम्ही जे बोलतायत ना ते नाही आहे. खूप आधीचीच आहे सर ही. जेव्हा आपण बंद केलं होतं ना तीच आहे.
शो एंड
नेट
करतो.
नेट इश्यू असू शकतो सर.
नाव यू
सर
कॅन
आता
सी. नाव यू कॅन
हो
सी.
येस सर. आता झाली सर. येस सर.
So
ओके
I will
ओके
not
सर.
go for the PowerPoint show. Okay.
ओके सर. ओके
Okay.
थँक्यू.
Okay. Okay. So there are some worldwide accidents I have shown here. Opau in Germany in September 21, 1921. This was a big chemical disaster. Then Texas City, Texas, US, April 16, 1947. In Texas City, Texas, again there is another accident on March 23, 2005. Then the Jillian city of China, there is another accident on November 13, 2005. And you may be knowing the Bhopal tragedy, Bhopal accident, okay, which has happened on December 3rd, 1984. And the Flexible UK, June 1, 1974. Then there is another accident on June 10 in Italy. Then in France on September 21, 2001. Then top 10 chemical disasters, the famed explosion which has happened in France in 1966. Then Fixiboro, UK, 1974. Seveso, Italy in 1976. Then the LPG disaster happened in Mexico City in 1984. Then Bhopal accident happened in 1984. There is another accident in Switzerland, 1986. Then Bajia Maria cyanide spill accident, chemical spill that is happened in Romania. Then there is another accident happened in Netherlands, fireworks, 2000. Then the granite fertilizer plant explosion accident happened in 2001. And the Texas City refinery explosion happened in Texas, 2005. So I want to cover some of the big accidents, how it has happened, and what are the precautions we should have taken so that it can be avoided. Okay, some case studies of the accident. I am going to cover the chemical disaster accident of the Bhopal gas. Most of the people know about this, but still I want to cover this. Bhopal disaster, basically Bhopal gas, we call Bhopal gas tragedy, was a gas leak incident on the night of 2nd and 3rd December 1984 at the UCC, Union Carbide Limited pesticides plant in Bhopal, MP, India. It was considered as of 2020 to be the world's worst industrial disaster. Okay, that's why I'm covering this. Over 500,000 people were exposed to methyl isocyanate. Friends, methyl isocyanate is a very corrosive chemical, highly reactive chemical. Okay, it eats your body parts and get damage to your fetus and everything. The highly toxic substance made its way into around and shanty lawns located near the plant. The official immediate death toll was 2259. The MP government confirmed a total of 3787 deaths related to the gas release. A government affidavit in 2006 stated that the leak caused 5,58,125 injured, including 38,478 temporary partial injuries and approximately 3,900 severely and permanently disabling injuries. Others estimate that 8,000 died without 2 weeks and another 8,000 or more have since died from the gas-related diseases. These are some of the photographs I am showing here of the Bhopal gas tragedy. The cause of the disaster remains under debate. Okay, the Indian government and the local activists argue that the stack management and the deferred maintenance created a situation where routine pipe maintenance caused a backflow of water into a MIC. What is MIC? Methyl isocyanate is a highly corrosive chemical tank triggering the disaster. See, very simple reason why this accident has happened. There was a backflow of the water into the chemical container. And there was an exothermic reaction. Okay, Union Carbide contains water entered into the tank through an act of sabotage. And big accident has happened. Because of the silly mistake, somebody must have done this silly mistake and the water has gone into the tank, is highly reactive, water reactive chemical, and whole the Bhopal tragedy has happened. Then the owner of the factory, UCIL, was the majority owned by the UCC, Indian Carbide Company, with Indian government controlled banks and the Indian public holding 49% of the stake. Then in 1989, UCC paid $470 million US dollar, that is 907 million USD in 2004 dollars, to settle the litigation stemming from the disaster. 1994, UCC sold its stake to UCIL company, to Idage Industries India Limited, that is EIIL, which subsequently merged with McLeod Russell India Limited. Then Idage ended cleanup on the site in 1998 when it terminated a 99-year lease and turned over control the site of the site. Government of the Madhya Pradesh. Dow Chemical Company purchased the UCC in 2001, 17 years after the disaster. These are some of the photographs of the Bhopal tragedy. Then there is another chemical accident which has happened very recently. That is the Visakhapatnam gas leak. Okay, the Visakhapatnam gas leak, also referred to as the Vizag gas leak, was an industrial accident that occurred at LG Polymers. You know, LG is the company which makes the TVs. Okay, and this is a very famous company, Korean company. They are in different electronic appliances. Chemical plant in RR Venkatapuram village of the Gopalapatnam neighborhood, located at the outskirts of Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh, India, during the early morning of the 7th May 2020. The resulting vapor cloud spread over a radius of around 3 kilometers. There was a leakage of chemical vapor, and it has spread about the 3-kilometer radius, nearby areas and villages. As per the Nation Disaster Response Force, NDRF, the death toll was 11 and more than 2,000 people became sick after being exposed to the gas. So the preliminary investigation concluded that the accident was likely the result of insufficient maintenance of units storing the styrene monomer. Styrene is a chemical, is a monomer which is used for making the polymer. Improper storage and the operation errors. The government of Andhra Pradesh announced an ex gratia of 1 crore, that is $140,000 for each family of the deceased, as well as the funds for the injured. Budget of 30 crore was allocated as a compensation for the affected. These are some of the photographs of the chemical disaster which has happened in 2020 in the Vizag gas leak. These are some of the more photographs of the Vizag accident. Then come to this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, COVID-19 pandemic in India is a part of the worldwide pandemic of coronavirus. This is 2019. That's why we call COVID-19. Caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, that is called SARS-CoV-2. The first case of COVID-19 in India, which originated from China, was reported in 30th January 2020. India currently has the largest number of the confirmed cases at that time. Okay, and the United States has more than about this. This is the story of that coronavirus thing. Okay, and how the death has increased of the COVID-19. Okay, 1,000 death. The per day cases peaked mid-September in India with 90,000 cases reported per day. This is the whole story of the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, this is my laboratory. From here, I did my all education, all did my life. I spent about 4 decades of my life in this laboratory. After completion of my master's in chemistry from Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathoda University, Aurangabad. This is the photograph when we celebrated the 50 years of our great laboratory. And this is the latest photograph when we celebrated the Platinum Jubilee in the last month. Okay. So the first part of my talk is over. Then we will take some break of maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And then I will switch over to the second talk. If you have any questions, queries, you can write to me. If somebody is interested in my presentation, I can share my presentation to the participant.
Yeah, sure, sir. Please share your slides.
Yes. So we'll take a break of 5 minutes and then second, my interesting talk I will start.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. सर आलं. दृष्टिकोन घेतला.
आता मी बेशी घेतली म्हणजे मला आता पैसे द्यायची गरज नाही ना.
द्यावं लागतं.
नाही नाही.
कोणाला सेंड करू? कोण घेत तुमचे ते तिकट किती ना तर त्यांचे देऊन टाकून दिला. ते माझ्या खात्यावर टाकून.
Hello.
So can we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. All are there?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Can you see the PowerPoint show?
No till, sir.
No, sir.
What is the problem? I don't know.
Share करा ना, sir.
शेअरच केलं ना.
Open through sharing. असं ते arrow आहे बघ खाली.
कुठला arrow?
खालच्या साईडला बघा. अपवर्ड डायरेक्शन मध्ये.
हेच ना, तिथूनच केलं ना आता.
मग तिथं शेअर येतं, पॉवर पॉइंट लगेच येतात तिथं.
येतात तिथं, पण शो का होत नाही ते विचारा तुम्ही.
आलं सर.
आला.
ओके. एकदा स्लाइड शो बघा सर, होत आहे का?
हो, तेच मी बघतोय, पण ते होत नाही.
सर 44% छत्री सारखं चित्र बघा, त्याला क्लिक करा.
तुमचा कर्सरच्या खाली बघा छत्री सारखं चिन्ह आहे. 44%
नाही आहे ना, मला नाही आहे तिथं.
44% दिले बघा, त्याच्या बाजूला आहे छत्रीचं चिन्ह, त्याला क्लिक करा.
नाही मला नाही दिसत.
अरे आम्हाला दिसतंय. हा,
तोच problem आहे.
44% स्क्रीनचं आहे ना
सर
रेजोल्युशन.
सर असू द्या, मागच्या पहिल्या सेशन सारखं चालू करा.
हा ठीक आहे.
सर मी डॉक्टर तुपारे.
ओके. हो, आय नो
डॉक्टर
यू.
बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर टेक्निकल कॉलेज मध्ये पण.
आय नो यू ऑन फेसबुक.
येस सर. ओके, थँक्यू.
I make some comment also to your
Yes,
post.
sir. Yes, yes.
Now you will enjoy this talk.
Yes, yes, sir.
This is
I am very happy.
I am very unsatisfied because I am unable to do the sharing. I don't know.
No, sir. Start as it is.
सर आहे खाली दिसेल, एकदा बघा ना सर, आहे खाली छत्रीचं चिन्ह.
नाही दिसते छत्री, मला नाही दिसत.
ते सर प्लस मायनस आहे ना सर, प्लस मायनस बघा कोपऱ्यात, उजव्या कोपऱ्यात, त्याच्या
एक
बाजूला आहे
मिनिट.
बघा सर.
एक मिनिट.
44% सध्या स्क्रीन रेझोल्युशन आहे तुमच्या पीसीचं, त्याच्या बाजूला छत्रीचं चिन्ह आहे. ठीक आहे, नसेल तर असू दे सर, जाऊ द्या मग हेच करा. बघा सर,
ते काय होतंय खाली, हे येतं ते खाली कर्सर आहे ना, तो बाकीचे आयकन येतात वरती.
जात नाही वाटतं तुमचा कर्सर, कर्सर त्या कोपऱ्यात जात नाही वाटतं. आम्हाला
नाही
दिसतंय
ते
पण
बाकीचे आयकन येतात, त्याच्यामुळे तो आयकन खाली झाकला जातोय.
सर माऊस आहे का? माऊस आहे तुमच्याकडे?
आहे ना माऊस.
मग ते
सर वरच्याकडे
चांगलं हे होत नाही.
लिहिले बघा वर, वरच्या कडेला पण आहे. होम, इन्सर्ट, डिझाईन, ॲनिमेशन, स्लाइड शो, वरच्या साईडला. हा येस सर, सर येस सर, करा क्लिक तिथं. येस सर, क्लिक करा तिथे. ओके ओके सर, करा तिथे आता.
फ्रॉम बिगिनिंग
करा क्लिक आता.
कॅन यू सी? Can you see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you see PowerPoint show?
नाही, मोड नाही चेंज
No,
झाला.
sir, no.
नो, क्लिक करा ना सर तिथे, होईल. F5 करा, नाहीतर F5.
सर F5 करा मग.
आता दिसतंय का?
Yes sir,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can
Yes,
see PowerPoint
okay, sir.
show?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, dear participants, sorry for the inconvenience caused. I will start with my second talk. So that is very interesting talk, even though if you are not working under the science stream, you will understand very easily because all the talk is all pictorial. Okay. And this is very important talk because most of the times you get some marks in the NAC audit. Okay. If you are not performing well in the laboratories or your safety practices are not very well maintained, you will lose the marks. That's why I would like to give more focus on this talk because this is very important talk. What is the content of the talk? First, I will cover what are the causes of the laboratory accidents, why laboratory safety is important, and what is the standard safety training. Most of the people don't know what is actually what are the tools and techniques of the laboratory safety training. What are your responsibilities whenever you enter into any laboratory, work there and leave the laboratories? How to use different chemicals whenever you are entering and working with the chemicals? How to use different chemicals? Because people, they don't teach these simple things whenever you enter into the colleges enter into the graduation, enter into the PG, and even for the research. Whenever the different students, after passing net examination, they come to the place like National Chemical Laboratory, most of the people, they don't know the laboratory safety techniques. So what we do, we teach them all the techniques, and we never allow them to enter into the laboratory unless and until they qualify in these techniques. So we give some talks, we take some examinations, we do some experiments, and then only they can be allowed into work into the laboratory. Okay. Then electrical safety is very important. Then how to store the chemicals. There is a lot of misunderstanding about the storage of chemicals. People, they don't know how to store the chemicals. Usually people, they store the chemicals alphabetically, which is a wrong practice. Then chemical spills. Whenever there is any spill, chemical spill in the laboratory, you should know how to protect first yourself, how to protect your body parts like eyes and the rest of the parts. So I will tell what precautions you have to tell. How to use the safety equipments. Most of the times the safety equipments are purchased, installed, they put onto the walls just for the NAC audit. And once the NAC audit is over, nobody is bothered about their service, about their operation, about their use. Okay, this is very the sad story which I face, which I go for the different places for the NAC audit purpose. Safety equipment, then hazardous identification. As soon as you see the bottle of a chemical, you should know what is the hazardous nature of this material. Okay. Similarly, like we buy the medicines from the market and we read those inserts and we see that how much dose we should take. If you take more dose, what will happen? If you take less dose, what will happen? Similarly, you should be able to identify what is the hazardous nature of this XYZ chemical. And what are the mandatory safety rules you must follow whenever you enter into the lab and whenever you leave the lab. And what is the laboratory safety checklist? How you can say that my laboratory is safe and it is safe to work. And if time permits, I will cover some case studies of the different accidents, how it has happened because of the poor storage, poor maintenance, or the poor work practices. So what is meaning of the safety? As I have covered here, according to their alphabets, the full form of safety is stay alert for every task you do. This has a long meaning. Always you should stay alert for every task you are doing whenever you are entering into the laboratory, and that is nothing but that is a safety. Okay, it is basically a state of being protected against physically. Friends, always keep in mind you are more important than the experiments. Experiments can be repeated, experiments can be performed tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or maybe 2-3 times, but your health you cannot recover once it is damaged due to some chemicals. What are the different causes of laboratory accidents? I have purposely shown this picture here, and this picture gives all the message, okay? What are the different causes of the laboratory accidents? If you see this picture very carefully, you can see that how this person is performing the experiment. He is pouring some volatile liquid from a cylinder to a round bottom flask. Adjacent to that, he is running some burner. All the electrical wires are hanging above this, and you see the situation. If you are working under such conditions, then you see how accidents you can be avoided. Okay. So what are the causes of the accidents? Lack of working and understanding of hazards. This fellow, he don't know what is the chemical he is using, what is the hazardous nature of this chemical. He is unaware of that, or he has not been trained. Then improper or intended use of equipment. He don't know how to use the burner. Very simple thing. How to use the burner, what precautions you have to take, where to use the burner, where these such operations are to be performed. He is unaware of that. That's why laboratory safety training is very, very important. And by seeing this picture, Even illiterate person also will say that, oh, this fellow don't know anything about this. That means he is inexperienced. Suppose if you are entering such students, okay, into the laboratory and tell them start working and perform this experiment, okay, without supervising them, then definitely there will be a lot of accidents. The fourth cause is the distractions. Nowadays, mobile phone is the main culprit of the accident. Okay. Most of the times, we always watch on the mobile while performing the experiments. That call, that message is not important. Okay. But we give our 99% intention to the messages or the calls which are appearing or some WhatsApp messages onto the mobile. That is the main cause of the accidents. Lack and loss of the attention to the task. Whenever you are working, whenever you are driving, whenever you are performing experiments, you should 100%, okay, see that what I am doing, okay, whether I am doing properly or I am not doing properly, okay. And if I am not doing properly, what precautions I should take to avoid such accidents. Then the fifth reason is the broken or the damaged glassware. Most of the times I have seen in the laboratories, people, they use the broken beakers. If there is some small crack to the round bottom flask also, they will use. And such flasks are used for the vacuum purposes. Whenever you apply some vacuum for such flask, then immediately you will end up with some big explosion, okay, big accident. So never use any broken equipment or glassware into the laboratory whenever you are performing the experiments. And there are like that, there are several reasons, okay, how the accidents have happened into the laboratory. If you go through my talk, then you will see that, oh, there are several reasons why the accidents are happening into the laboratory. Why laboratory safety is important? Most of the people say, oh, what is there? I know each and everything in the laboratory. What this person is going to tell, I know more than this because I am working in this laboratory for last 20 years. Friends, if you are working in the laboratory maybe for 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, whatever experience is, let us listen to the people who are sharing their experiences of the different laboratories. Why safety is important? First, protect yourself from laboratory hazard. You are more important than your experiment. Whenever you are entering into the laboratory, first think that I am more important than the experiment because somebody is watching me when I will come back to my home. My wife is watching, my children are watching, my parents are watching, my neighbors are watching, my friends are watching. So whenever you come and enter into the laboratory, you should go in the same manner safely to your home. Protect yourself from laboratory hazards. Always see that what hazards you are using and read the material safety data sheet. I will tell what is material safety data sheet. Before touching any chemical or using any chemical, read those material safety data sheets. And if you are handling some equipments, read the standard operating procedure. And always comply with the government regulations which are prepared by your department, by your university, by your supervisor, or by your colleague. Always comply with the government rules and regulations. Why laboratory? What is meant by laboratory safety training? People say, oh, what is there? I know each and everything. What does it mean? Okay. First, to introduce you to the lab standards. Whenever a student joins at the National Chemical Laboratory, even after doing the master's degree, qualifying the NET examination, we never allow them to enter into the laboratory without going through our laboratory safety training. Because we know that these students, they are not well trained in different colleges and the universities. They are not aware of the standard protocol of the laboratory safety training. So first we conduct 1 month course and we give different types of training before they start doing their experiments, going for the research. Okay. Then to understand your responsibilities, whenever you enter into the laboratory, always think, what is my responsibility? What I am going to do? What type of experiments I am going to do it? You plan it properly and separate out what are the hazardous chemicals you are using, what are the non-hazardous chemicals you are using, what type of glassware you are going to use it. And to protect yourself from the laboratory hazard. This is very important. Always you protect yourself from laboratory hazards. There are different types of hazard. There are different types of gases. People, they are working on different chemicals. Okay, always protect yourself from the laboratory hazards. To understand the toxicity of compounds of the unknown toxicity. Whenever you touch any bottle of a chemical, read the name of that chemical, go to the material safety data sheet. Each and every person is now having the mobile phones. Write the name of that chemical and see the material safety data sheets. Read the MSDS thoroughly, and if you are continuously using those chemicals, take a printout of those MSDS and see what are the precautions I should take whenever I am using these chemicals, okay, of the unknown toxicity. Because in this world, friends, nobody is expert in the chemical area. We share our experiences, and by sharing our experience, we become wiser and wiser, okay. To respond in case of chemical spills, suppose there is any chemical spills happening in the laboratory, maybe with you, or maybe with your colleague, or maybe with your subordinate, you should know what is the response, okay? In that case, you should act it. And to follow the mandatory work practices, which are prepared by your laboratory, which are prepared by your supervisor, and which is prepared by the government, okay? Always follow the mandatory work practices. To understand the hazardous of every chemical you use, as I told you, whenever you want to use any chemical, before touching that chemical, opening the bottle of the chemical, first go to the Google, write the name of that chemical, write the MSDS, material safety data sheets, read the full information, and then start using those chemicals. If you don't understand anything, you discuss first with your colleague who are senior to you, okay, who are working there for maybe last 4 or 5 years for his PhD degree or postdoc. If you don't understand from him, then discuss with your supervisor. If you still don't understand, discuss with your safety coordinator. To follow the safe work practices while conducting every operation. Always follow the safe work practices whenever you are conducting any chemical operation into the laboratory. To know what to do in case of an emergency. Suppose there is any chemical fire or there is any chemical spillage on body or in the organ parts, then you should know how to react in such cases, okay, if there is an emergency. Whenever you buy any new equipment, okay, most of the times nowadays colleges also are getting a lot of grants from UGC or different funding agencies, and we buy some equipment. And second reason, most of the times we buy the things for the NAC purposes, because NAC says that, oh, you don't have this facility, that facility. So we create that facility, we order it, we get the sanction. And before that, before ordering any equipment into the laboratory, answer these 6 questions, okay? If the answer to these 6 questions is yes, then you proceed with the purchase order, okay? Otherwise, you order the equipment is coming, lying into your laboratory. That vendor is telling that, oh, I have to install it so that he will get his commission. And then you start working on all these questions. So please avoid such type of things in the future. Space availability, whether identify the space for that equipment, where this equipment is to be located, whether there is a special ventilation which is required for that equipment is available. Are you going to use some radioactive sources or lasers? Have you done some provision for following the safety practices? Then the fourth one is the PPE. What is PPE? There is a short form for the personal protective equipments. What are the PPE requirements required while performing the experiments with this equipment? Whether, and very important thing is the whether these your points are guarded or no. Okay, points are guarded means most of the times there is no proper earthing in that point. Current is coming to the equipment. In India, this is the main cause for damaging the equipment. Most of the times our points are not guarded, means that there is no proper earthing. Then the special heating, cooling or the electrical components. If it requires some high heating or a minus degree cooling requirements, then always see that these facilities are available with you before ordering the equipment. हॅलो, आम्ही लेक्चर मध्ये मी नंतर करतो. Then electrical safety is very important. Nowadays, you can see such fancy panels are there. You try to fix such fancy panels. They are very safe electronic panels which are available in the market. Replace those earlier ones which are there installed in the laboratory for maybe last 20, 30, 40 years. They are very safe. Try to establish such type of electronic things into your main circuit boards. This is another type of sockets which are available in the market now. Remove those old one, take this new one, because this has all the safety precautions. Okay, the electrical current is properly guarded. The points are completely fixed properly. There is no spark coming whenever you are putting in your plug and other things. So try to replace the earlier one with such type of the modern things. Then high voltage equipment, suppose if you are putting some water bath or some other gadgets, okay, if you want to put into the laboratory or in the instrument room, then try to bring such ground fault circuit interrupter. This is basically nothing but this is a ground fault circuit interrupter. What is the role of this? First of all, this will fix it properly. And if your current loading goes maybe high or low, it will automatically disconnect the equipment. That means your equipment will be the safe. The equipment will not be damaged. This is called ground fault circuit interrupter. They are available in the market. You can buy it for the sophisticated equipments. This is another scenario. Most of the times we don't know what is the current loading. Whenever you want to put your instrument to a plug from where you are pulling out the current, you should know what is the current capacity or the current output this point is giving. This is a simplet meter. It will record what is the current output which is coming if you make the switch on. First you measure it. If it is proper, then only connect your equipment. Whether it is in house, it is in the laboratory or in the equipment room. Always take this precaution so that you will never destroy your safety highly expensive equipments. This is called GFCI. This is another scenario, very interesting scenario. I have taken this photograph from the labs only. Nowadays, such type of extension boards are available into the market. If you go to the DMart, you will get these maybe costing 200 or 250 rupees. Most of the people, they buy this from the market and they multiply the electrical points. Suppose his requirement is the 4 points, he will connect this extension board to this point, multiply into 4. And what you see the scenario, this type of scenario I observed in the laboratories, these electrical boards are hanging, even they are not properly fixed. And if such scenario arises, then what happens? Most of the times there are chances of damaging your equipment. So always see that your electrical extension board is properly fixed, properly mounted on the wall, and then you take the, then you connect your different points for taking the electricity. This is another scenario. What happens? Most of the times we get some offers from the markets. If you buy some 10 meter, you will get this much discount. If you buy some 20 meter, you get some discount. Actually, my requirement is only 1 meter. But what happens? I go to the market, I buy some 5 meter because I got some discount. And what happens? I will never share those electrical wire to my colleague or to friends or the other thing. And what I will do, I will just wrap it up, keep it up, and start using it. And what happens in that process? The rest of the 9 or 10 meters of wire is just lying on the floor. Okay. This is an unsafe practice. If you are performing such type of practices, if your requirement is only 1 meter, cut the 1 meter and keep the 9 meters in the safe custody, but never use 10 meter for the requirement of 1 meter. And rest of the wire is lying on the floor, which is another cause of accident or the damage to the some other people. Another safe practice is this. When I come to the Aurangabad in the summer, or go to the Amravati or go to the Nagpur, okay, people, they start using such type of shoes, sandals, when working in the laboratory. This is unsafe practice. You are not supposed to work in the laboratories without wearing the shoes. That means your foot should be fully covered. Okay, your foot should not be open. And try to use the shoes, especially the safety shoes. What is meant by safety shoe? If you go to the foreign countries, they will first give you the safety shoe. What does it mean by safety shoe? It has a steel tools at the front and at the back. Even though a cylinder is falling on your leg, nothing will happen to your leg. That is called safety shoes. Okay, so such safety shoes are provided in the foreign countries. Unless if you don't wear the safety shoes, that laboratory will not allow you to enter, because it has a metal tools. So that indicator will tell you that you have not wore the safety shoe today. So can you take the vacation today and come tomorrow prepared with the safety shoes. So such type of practices are followed in the foreign countries. In India, there are all excuses. People start wearing sandals, people start wearing chappals, sleepers, whatever they wish, and they end up into accidents. So my request to all of you is that, friends, start wearing the shoes, at least start wearing the shoes. And then if you are feeling comfortable with the shoes, go for the safety shoes, which are available in the market. Okay, never use the chappals, sleepers into the laboratory, or maybe the half pant, okay, into the working in the laboratory. Even your apron should be fully covered. Then you see that how this lady is performing by wearing the safety gadgets and performing the experiments. Okay, even though she has a long hair, she has properly tied up. She is having the spectacles. Above that, she has wear the safety goggles. She is wearing the apron, which is a full sleeves, then wearing the hand gloves and performing the experiments in the safest manner. Okay, so always, again, apron should be full sleeves. Apron should be made up of the 100% cotton. Don't buy the apron which is a very cheap, which contains the polyester. Okay, you will get the aprons in the market which contains the polyester. The price may be low and the cotton aprons may be high. Why you should not wear the polyester clothes into the laboratory? What is the reason? Because the polyester contains the benzene ring, and whenever there is a benzene ring present into the fiber, it has a tendency to form the static charge. Okay, static charge means you must have noticed whenever you wear the polyester clothes, and whenever you there is a movement of your hand or the leg, you see some noise. That is nothing but that is a static charge. The static charge is not good for the body, not good in the laboratory. If I am handling a low boiling solvent like ether and I am wearing a polyester apron or maybe polyester sari or maybe polyester dress, then that static charge is sufficient to catch the fire in a place like Aurangabad in the summer. Okay, so my request to all of you is that if you are working in the laboratory, buy the apron which is made up of 100% cotton. Start wearing the hand gloves. Hand gloves doesn't cost much. Maybe it is one time your breakfast charge. Okay, in that you get a one box of the hand gloves. Start wearing the hand gloves. If you are having the long hairs, tie it properly. Don't comb the hairs when you are performing the operations in the laboratory and you are handling the solvents like low boiling solvents like ether. Okay. There are secondary containers available in the market. What happens? People, they don't use such type of containers for carrying the material from one place to the other, especially the volatile solvents or the liquid solvents. Okay. So if you go to the foreign countries, you have to use such type of secondary containers for carrying one bottle of maybe 3 liter or 2.5 liter from one place to the other place. You have to use such type of chemical safety carriers. This is called chemical safety carriers. So you are taking the double precaution. If something happens, some bottle breaks, okay, the solvent will fall down into this safety container. First of all, it will not break and it is easy to carry from one place to the other place. So try to use such type of containers if you are carrying solvent from one place to the other place. Then another thing, most of the times in the laboratory, I have seen people, they start eating there. Okay, people, they buy the fruits and they enjoy eating into the laboratory. First of all, food is never allowed into the laboratory. Okay, this type of sticker is to be pasted on the laboratory. Okay, whenever you are working in the laboratory, you are highly contaminated with the chemical vapors. And in such type of environment, you are not supposed to bring any food, okay, and eat there. Even never store any eatables, even the cold drinks, into the refrigerator, which is meant for storage of chemicals. You should store your eatables, food storage in a different refrigerator, which is highly devoted for storing the eatables only. Okay, so food is not permitted into the laboratory. Such type of sticker is to be pasted on the door of the laboratory. If you go to the foreign countries, such type of stickers are pasted on each laboratory. And if still you are performing such operations, there is a punishment. You will be caught in the cameras and you will be punished. Yeah, such type of refrigerators always put their sticker that no food is stored into this refrigerator. But in India, most of the places I have seen that people, they store cold drinks, people, they use this refrigerator for keeping the fruits and other eatables, and they are highly contaminated. Okay, and people, they start drinking, eating such type of materials, and they start with some stomach pain or any other injury to their health. Okay, so my request to all of you is that never use the chemical refrigerator for storing any eatables, storing any cold drinks or any eatables into the laboratory. Never celebrate such type of pizza parties into the laboratory. Okay. Why I am telling? Because if you are celebrating such type of parties into the laboratory, what you do, you finish your birthday celebration or marriage anniversaries or any other functions, what you do, you order the pizza into the lab, eat there, and what you do, you keep the leftover into the buckets which are kept made for storing the waste. Okay, you just throw it there. What happens? It has a very good smell because it contains a lot of good chemicals which attract, okay, the insects, okay, or the rats into the laboratory. What happens? They will come in the night, they will eat the leftovers, and what they will do, if they are still hungry, okay, they are not sufficiently eaten the pizza leftover, then what they will do, these wires, equipment wires has a very good smell because it contains some chemical, it gives the good odor. Okay, what happens? Then remaining hungriness, they will complete by eating those highly sophisticated equipment, the wires. And what you will see that for a simple reason, you have lost your equipment. So don't do such silly mistakes. Never celebrate the party into the laboratory. If you want to celebrate, go out of the laboratory environment. Celebrate your anniversary, celebrate your birthday, celebrate your parties, and throw the leftovers there. Even though if you are eating in the laboratory, that is also not a good practice. If you want to take the lunch, go out of the laboratory, finish your lunch, and then come to the laboratory. And if you are still performing the lunch into the laboratory or the equipment rooms, whatever the leftovers are there, it is your responsibility to take it with you. Don't throw into the dustbins, because if you are throwing into the dustbin, again, the same story will happen. Okay, because our Indian spices have a very good smell, which are attracted by the rats and other insects, and they will eat those, and while going they will eat some wires and other equipment wires and other things. So please take all those precautions. So such type of leftovers, after finishing the party, we keep it in the dustbins and the rest of the things are done by the insects. Then I will come to the housekeeping. Housekeeping is very, very important in the laboratory if you want to perform the safe operations. Keep the work area uncluttered. You can see these photographs here. Whole working place is fully covered with the bottles and there is no place to work on this table. So this is a very wrong practice. Okay, such type of cluttering is not allowed into the laboratory. Okay, so always see that nothing is lying on the table once you finish your operation. Each and every bottle, it should go into its cabinet according with its labeling system. Okay. Then the sharps which are generated or the broken glasses, which if you are keeping into the laboratory, store in a separate container because it is a Corning glass, it is 100% recyclable. If you are storing these glasses properly and calling the outside parties, they will come pick up those glasses because their glass is 100% recycled. And you can earn money from those broken glasses. Never throw these broken glasses into a common dustbin, okay? And don't lose your money, okay? Then in the laboratory, each and every label container, okay, should be properly labeled. Again, I have some questions. How this labeling system should be? What is the proper method of labeling? The proper method of labeling is that each and every chemical bottle should be labeled in English capital letters with black ink only. You are not supposed to use the felt pens of different colors. If you are using such pens, writing the label, then this has a tendency to wipe out after some time because of the chemical environment. You will never see that label is there. And then you will go on by judgment, by smelling, oh, this may be ether, this may be diethyl ether, or maybe other chemical, it may be THF, something like that. So never use the felt pen. Okay, write the label, type properly with English alphabets only, no proper local languages, no other languages. In a place like us, we are having the students working from all over India. What they do, suppose there is a threat, suppose if the two people are using the same chemical, then the person coming from the Tamil Nadu, he will use his own language, and the person coming from Andhra, he will use his own language, and so that the use of these chemicals should be avoided. So please avoid such type of practices. The label should be in English, capital letters with black ink only, and above that you put a stylo pen tab so that your label is safe. Such type of practices are not allowed. Never write the short forms. Only you know what is this means. 95% ETOH, only a person who is working in that area or who is well educated, he only knows that it is a ethanol 95%. So write a full label like ethanol or light ethyl alcohol, into bracket write 95%. But such type of short forms are not allowed when you are preparing the labels of different chemicals. Then avoid such type of practices into the laboratory. This is a fume hood. In this fume hood, what this person is doing, he is using the burner. Next to it, a flask containing a volatile solvent, and next to it is a ethanol. Okay. If you are using the flammable liquid next to the burner, then what will happen? Okay. Simply, this will take fire. So never use flammable solvents next to the burner if you are using. This is not allowed. This is not a good practice. This is a very wrong practice. So try to avoid such type of practices to avoid further accidents. Emergency information card. whenever I go for the neck audit at different places all over India, okay, then first I go to the lab and I see such type of things. This is nothing but this is an emergency information card. This is a very useful sheet. This is very important. This should be pasted on each door of the laboratory. What is the advantage of putting this on each laboratory? Suppose anything happens into the laboratory, what I will do first, I will contact to the scientist in charge. Nowadays, each and every person has the mobile numbers. So if some smell is coming, the attendant who is present there in the night or maybe security personnel, he will try to contact me on my mobile number or whoever is the in charge of that laboratory. Then if I am not available, then what he will do, he will call to the next person who is available. Even second person is not available, he will call third person. Third person is not available, he will call the alternative people. And if you are wise enough in working in the laboratory, try to write what is the material I am using into the laboratory. If I am using benzene, I will write this is I am using carcinogenic material or toxic chemicals or the flammable materials. So try to use such type of sheets, paste it on the door of a laboratory so that this will be helpful to the people who are working in the laboratory. This is a labeling system, very important, different science. Okay, people, they are not aware of this. What are the signs for? Suppose you are having a safety shower. This is a sign for the safety shower. It is to be pasted next to the shower. First of all, that shower should be available into the laboratory and it should be in the working condition. Whenever I go for the audit, most of the times shower is not there. If shower is there, shower doesn't work. And that fellow will honestly tell me, sir, this shower was installed last time when there was a last NAC audit. After that, he has not bothered about that. So this situation is a very bad situation. Similarly, same thing is with the fire extinguisher. Fire extinguisher is a very important. Whenever there is a fire, you can extinguish the fire. You should know what type of fire extinguishers are there and what type of fire extinguisher is to be used for different types of fires. Okay. These are very important things. Then first aid box. First aid box is also very important. This doesn't cost not more than 100 or 150 rupees, but that is also not available in the laboratory. And similarly, same thing people will tell this as purchased last time when there was audit. Okay. Each chemical has an expiry date. All the chemicals expire maybe after 3 or 4 months, and you have to replace those chemicals. Then the eye wash showers. This will save your eyes. This should be installed at least each in the laboratory, and this doesn't cost not more than 200 rupees. Okay, nowadays they are available plastic make. You can install this on a wash basin. Though this will save your eyes. If some chemical is going into your eyes, immediately flash with some eye wash. If there is a gas cylinder, such type of signs should be used. If you are performing some electrical operations, such type of signs are to be used. If you want to say that some other people, he should come and don't touch to this facility or the equipment or the experiments, use such type of label. If you are performing the flammable operations, such type of flammable labels are to be pasted. Then if you want only some authorized people to be entered into that laboratory, put some such type of notice, authorized personnel only. Suppose if you are using biohazardous materials, try to use such type of biohazardous material labeling. Sharps, whatever the sharps, if you, hello? If you are using some sharps, then such type of sharps are to be stored in the plastic container. If you are using the broken glasses and other thing, the broken glasses, if you store it properly, they are 100% recycled. Okay. No food should be allowed. Such type of labeling is to be used. And for this is very important labeling systems. Nowadays, each chemical bottle container is coming by such labeling system. You should understand this thoroughly. This will tell you about that, all information about that chemical regarding the safety also. Okay, this is a colorless. It is a safety hazard. If the number 2, means this is a health hazard. 0, 1, 2, 3. This is means less hazard. Number 3 means highly hazard. 0 is a less hazard. Red is a fire hazard. This is a very severe fire hazard. 0 means it is a very less reactivity. Try to understand the color coding and the number system. 0 means very less or nothing. It increases from 0 to 3 rating. 3 means is a highly hazardous or highly fired radioactive material. The same, try to understand this labeling system, color coding, and this, in case of emergency, this will be very helpful. Without asking to anybody else, you can act yourself, okay, and combust the fire or other things. Then there is another labeling system, okay, for the biological agents. If you are using some chemicals or the biological agents, okay, you should understand this labeling system, okay, like toxicity, flammability, reactivity or incompatibility, corrosive behavior, unstable, radioactive, and the cleanup procedures. You should understand all these by seeing such type of labels. Information on chemical hazard. Where I will get this information? Friends, you don't ask to anybody else. You should go to the Google, go to the Merck Index, or go to the Aldrich catalog, or go to the prudent practices followed in the laboratories, or go to the Sachs dangerous properties of industrial materials, and you should be able to find out yourself the information of the chemical hazard. If you are generating the laboratory waste, try to recycle and reuse. Try to minimize use. Minimize, okay? And still, if you are generating the waste, okay, chemical like hazardous waste or biological waste or radioactive waste or mixed waste, universal waste, electronic waste, segregate properly, store it properly, okay? If you can recycle it, recycle and reuse. If you are not able to do it, okay, store it properly. And there are outside people who will come to your laboratory, pick up those waste, okay, by charging some amount, and they will dispose of or they will take care of. But never throw any solvent or chemicals from today into the sink if you are working in the laboratories. Try today, take a oath that from today, by listening the talk of XYZ person, okay, I'm taking a oath that from today I'm not going to pour any chemical, any solvent, okay, into the wash basin, whether it is a house, whether it is a lab or any other place. I will store it properly and dispose it properly. Sink is meant for only water and not for throwing or pouring the solvents and the chemicals. Okay. If you are still generating some waste, try to use this practice. This is the primary container. This is the secondary container. Okay. And keep it in a bottle, keep it in a funnel and throw it, put it into this, store it, and then send it for recycle. Similarly, use such type of sheet and write on this, what is this material? Who is the person? What is his room number? What is his lab? Okay, what is his mobile number? Store it properly. And friends, whenever you are storing, try to see that this bottle is properly closed. Most of the times I have seen in the laboratories, people, they store it into the bottle, take all the precautions, but keep the bottle open. Means all the funnels are lying on that bottle overnight. So what is the use of then taking the safety precaution? Because of the very high temperature, all the solvents will be evaporated and all the smells will be into the laboratory. Hazardous waste, there are some regulatory requirements. Identify what type of hazardous waste it is. What is this waste profile? Label it properly, store it properly, transport it properly, and dispose. There are people who will come and pick up those waste and dispose of. If you are able to recycle and reuse, you can do it on your own, but never throw a drop of solvent or a waste into the trash or into the wash basin from today. Take a oath. Okay, don't pour it down the drain or flush it down the toilet. Okay, don't put it into the storm drains. Okay, and train yourself how to collect, how to reuse, recycle, and how to dispose of. I am showing some of the pictures here. This is basically, this person is taking all the precautions of collecting the hazardous waste. This is a primary container. This is a secondary container. He has put both the containers for collecting the hazardous waste. He is kept the funnel for putting the hazardous waste. And friends, what you see here carefully, what this person is doing, he is pouring the hazardous waste once the operation is done. But once the operation is done, he has forgotten, okay, to close this bottle. Then what is the use of storing the hazardous waste into the bottle? It will be overnight, it will be evaporated, and all the fumes will be contaminated into the laboratory. Take the precaution that once the operation is done, the bottle or the container should be properly closed. What is wrong with this picture here? Again, the same thing. You can see here, he has taken the primary container, secondary container, but he has not closed the container properly. The containers are open. Here also you see the same container. All the funnel is open. He has not capped the bottle properly. Okay. So this type of practices should be avoided if you want to follow the safety practices. Similarly, you see the same things are here. You can see here. This fellow is using all the safety practices like primary container, secondary container, bottles are labeled properly, but he's keeping all the containers open overnight and the days together. So if you are following such type of situation, then what is the use of storing those hazardous waste into the bottle? Okay, if you not properly close. What is SOP? Standard Operating Procedure. Okay. You have to follow some SOP for if you are handling some hazardous chemicals. Okay. What is the format for the SOP? This is the format. Okay. So whenever any NAC audit team comes here, they will ask such type of formats. Okay. They will ask you what type of SOP you are following for storing the hazardous or handling the hazardous materials, hazardous chemicals. So this is the format for the SOP. You should write the chemical name. You should write your laboratory number. You should write who is the user, who is your in charge of the laboratory, what type of hazard it is, whether you are using PPE, personal protective equipments, is required or not required, what are the engineering and ventilation controls required, then special handling procedures, storage requirements, designated area, then decontamination procedures, then spill and the accident procedures and disposal methods. And at the end of the sheet, who is approved this? Each laboratory should have a safety officer or a safety coordinator. He should approve this, okay? Then safety convener and which division from this material is coming or which laboratory from this material is coming. You should write all the details. And this is a very interesting comment here I have shown here for the hazardous waste. From today, I will take an oath that I will not mix chemicals unless I know what they are. What they are means, what is the chemical nature of these chemicals? I will not mix the chemicals unless I know what they are. I will not mix chemicals unless. Take an oath, okay? And mug up this. I will never mix chemicals unless and until I know that. So no mixing of chemicals without knowing the chemical nature of these chemicals. Okay, just don't simply go by your judgment or the smell or somebody is telling that this chemical is this. And by mixing two unknown chemicals, there are several case studies. A lot of accidents have happened in the past. Then hazardous waste. From today, you take a oath. The people who are working in the laboratories, I will never pour any chemical to be discharged into the drain. Whether it is a house, whether it is a laboratory or any other place, don't throw any chemical into the drain. Okay, store it properly, dispose of it properly. Okay, these are some of the cartoons which I have shown here just to take a message out of it. Then I'm coming to these vacuum pumps. Vacuum pumps are required. Suppose if you are using the high boiling solvents and suppose you want to purify or distill it, you have to use the vacuum so that your boiling point is decreased. Or most of the time, suppose you want to extract some product from the solvent extract, then you have to remove the solvents, then at that time such type of facility is required. Or suppose you want to purify some high boiling solvents, such type of vacuum pumps are required. Okay, the vacuum, this is very sophisticated pumps. I don't think you will see such type of pumps in small universities. They are highly expensive pumps, but there are other pumps which are low cost pumps. Such pumps are available. But if you are having the good funding, try to go for such type of pumps, because in this case, two things are mounted together. And you see the older version of the pumps that I will show you, and this has a very good suction capacity. Okay. Most of the times we use the vacuum pump oil for the vacuum pumps. And what happens if you don't take the proper precautions, all chemicals, suppose you want to distill or purify, this goes into the pump because you have not taken the proper precautions of the cooling the traps. Okay. If you put the trap in between your solvent container and the pump, then such solvents will not go into the pump, but we never take such precautions. And then what happens? The oil get contaminated. Okay. And that contaminated oil contains the chemicals. And then what we do? We change the oil because I want good vacuum. And what we do? We pour such chemical contaminated oil into a dustbin. And then what happens? This dustbin doesn't have a resistance to such type of chemicals. So what happens? This will start leaking. Leaking on the floor, the oil will be spread all over. And friends, there are case studies. People, they have slipped, okay, into the laboratory because of some poor housekeeping, and there are several accidents reported in such cases. Please avoid such type of incidences. If you are changing, removing the oil or the waste oil, use a proper container and dispose it properly. But don't follow such type of ugly practices. This is another equipment. This is called vacuostat. This is a mercury vacuostat which is used for measuring the vacuum. Okay, vacuum of a pump. Suppose you want to distill some high boiling solvents, you have to decrease the boiling point by applying the pressure. And then you use such type of vacuostat for measuring the vacuum. This contains the mercury. Okay, mercury is a highly toxic material. People, they have stopped using mercury all over the country. Okay, most of the countries. Okay, they have replaced the mercury with the digital vacuostats. Now there is no mercury. Even in the laboratory, people, they have replaced the mercury thermometers. And this is one of the important questions to be asked during the NAC audit. Whenever I enter into the laboratories and ask them what type of thermometers you use. People, they show me the thermometers which contains the mercury. This mercury type of thermometers are totally banned. They are not safe. Mercury is not safe for our body or the environment. So try to replace those mercury thermometers with the alcohol thermometers. They are available in the market. They are very safe. Okay. Mercury is highly toxic. If you read the material safety data sheet of mercury, then you will see that how what are the stringent side effects of the mercury. This vacuum pump is a very old vacuum pump. I know this type of vacuum pump may be available into your laboratories. I know this vacuum pump I have used during my 1980s when I was performing the PhD at the National Chemical Laboratory. Such pumps were available at that time. These pumps are very good pumps at the time, but it doesn't have the safety protocol. That means the belts are open whenever you are working with this, especially the ladies, if they are wearing the saris and other things. There are cases reported of the saris went into this belt and there are accidents happen into the laboratory. So if such type of pumps, if you are using, this type of belts are to be properly safeguarded so that further accidents will not happen. First of all, if you are having good funding, try to replace those pumps. Try to purchase the pumps which I have shown earlier. They are very compact pumps. It has a very good efficiency. This will give the good vacuum. This is the rotavap. Rotavapor is used for extraction of the products. That means suppose I am having a product containing a lot of solvent and I want to extract it. Such type of rotavaps are used. You can extract, remove the solvent under control conditions. Okay, and then you can extract the product. Okay, volatile materials are to be removed. Okay, by using such type of rotavapors. This is another scenario which I have shown here. Similarly, for electrical points I have shown here, people multiply the electrical points from single point to the multiple points. We have a tendency to multiply, same is the plumbing also. So we are having very good people who are expert in doing such type of things in the laboratories. They try to multiply one connection into multiple things, and this is a wrong practice, friends. Okay, don't follow such type of practices when you are using these taps for water circulation systems for different purposes. Then I will come to the different labeling systems. We are very poor in understanding the labeling systems. Nowadays, all the chemical bottles are coming with the proper labeling, all the color coding. So we should know what type of color coding it is and what is this chemical meant for. So this is nothing but this is a biohazardous waste. Suppose I am generating some biohazardous waste and keeping in a container, such type of label is to be used. Okay, like organisms which cause diseases or environmental agriculture impact, human or the private tissues, fluid cells, or DNA. You must have seen such type of labels in these tissue culture laboratories or in the medical hospitals. Okay, try to understand this labeling system. Then biohazardous liquid waste, if you are generating, like tissue culture laboratories, aspirator flask must have a label. Such type of labeling is to be used if you are generating the tissue culture waste. Then biohazardous solid waste, if you are generating, such type of labels like the droppers, pipettes, hand gloves, like syringes, petri dishes, or the other thing. Okay, such type of labeling is to be used and is to be pasted on the container. Okay, as the biohazardous solid waste. Then this is another category of biohazardous waste. If you are storing in the proper container, you have to properly label it, properly tighten it, the boxes, write the name of your company or the name of the person, address, phone number, room number. Okay, and this should be properly packed into the primary container and the secondary container, and outside people will come and they will take care of the disposal or the recycle and reuse. But never use the orange bags. The red bags are to be used for the biohazardous collection waste. So if you are generating biomedical waste, you must have seen in the hospitals, people, they use these different types of box, like black box for the cytotoxic waste, red bag for the biohazardous infectious plastic waste, blue bag is meant for biohazardous infectious sharp waste. Then recycle waste, such type of sign is there. That means it is recycle and reuse. Then yellow bag is used for biohazardous infectious waste. And the puncture-proof cans are used for collecting the biohazardous sharp waste. So understand these types of labeling systems if you are working in the microbiological laboratories or the other laboratories, how this biomedical waste is collected. Then biomedical sharp waste is collected in the similar fashion. Try to understand the different labeling systems for like hypodermic needles, needles with syringes or the tubings, blades, and all glassware. Then this is another thing. If you are collecting this is a container. You stored it properly, label it properly, and there are outside people who will come to your laboratory, who will come to your organization and take care of its recycle, reuse, or maybe disposal. But this should be properly labeled. Container should not be overfilled. Don't fill beyond its capacity. Then similarly, What is wrong with this picture? Don't overfill the containers. Okay, this is the wrong practice. We have seen for other waste also, we have a tendency to go on overfilling the waste, okay, or overfilling the container. So please avoid such type of practices if you are performing. This is another picture, again overfilling. Okay, this is meant for the biohazardous waste, but see how much this has filled. Okay, this is very wrong practice. Then radioactive waste, if you are generating, this is the label for the radioactive waste. Store behind appropriate labeling, collect in an appropriate vessel, collect and rinses from the contaminated labware, then labeling. At the start, accumulate with the label with the isotope and the question. Labeling is your responsibility. Unless and until you collect it properly, label it properly, there is no other party will take the risk of collection, recycle, reuse, or disposal. Never mix different type of waste, whether it is a house, whether it is a laboratory, whether it is any other thing. Nowadays, municipal corporations are also very strict. If you mix all the waste together, they will not never collect. If you go to the foreign countries, what they will do, if you are mixing all the waste together, that bag will come to your house and the fine will be cut from your bank account. Okay, so never mix all types of waste together and send it for disposal. Similarly, if you are working in the laboratories, never mix chemical waste with biohazardous waste with radioactive waste. If you mix it together, then simply as a chemist or as a scientist, you can imagine what will happen if you mix all the mixture together. Avoid generation of the multiple things. Okay, if you don't understand, ask the people. Okay, and generate it. Similarly, like this, if you are using different types of batteries, okay, separate out those, collect it separately and send it for the disposal, but don't mix all the batteries together, okay, and store it. Electronic waste, similarly, computer components, printers, calculators, phones, etc. Take all the precautions. Okay, if you are not using it, collect it separately and send it for the disposal, whether it is a lab, whether it is a house, whether it is any organization. Laboratory waste, again, see such type of cabinets I want to see in the chemical laboratories. Okay, all the containers are properly labeled, okay, with this name of the chemical, okay, and the person who has collected it. And this should be properly stored. Then common hazardous waste conceptions are there. What is there? Suppose ethyl bromide buffers and a solid, not a bio waste. Most of the times, these are the misconceptions. Then Comaneci blue stain, then silver stain running, such type of several examples you will see that often overlooked as a hazardous waste stream. Okay. These can go to the drain. Biohazardous waste inspected with bleach. Okay. If you dilute it properly, this can go to the drain. There is no harm. Like buffers, you dilute it. Then pH, okay, this you can dilute it and then go for the hazardous material. Acids between pH 2 and pH 5 can be neutralized before the drain disposable. You can neutralize it and then it can go into the drain, but not as such. What is wrong with this picture? I am coming to the housekeeping now. This is the cold room, and you can see the situation of the cold room. This bench is meant for working with the experiments and not storing the chemicals. Another scene you can see here, the garbage is fully, waste bins are overflowing. Okay, this is a totally wrong practice if you are working in a chemical laboratory and especially in the cold room. In shipping hazardous materials, suppose you want to ship one chemical from one place to the other place, you have to follow the standard operating procedure of shipping the hazardous material. Read how to ship hazardous material from Google, okay, or take the advice from your seniors who are expert in those areas and understand what are the requirements for shipping the radioactive materials from one place to the other place. Unless and until you are convinced, okay, don't ship these materials or contact the shipping coordinator if you know somebody. Ask your questions and then only ship it. Material safety data sheet. This is called MSDS. Like we buy the medicine and you get the leaflet along with that bottle of that medicine or the insert, it gives full information. Similarly, for chemicals, you get a material safety data sheet. That is called MSDS. MSDS contains the 16 components. Whenever you are buying any chemical, suppose you want to use any chemical, first go to the Google, download the MSDS and read all the columns in the MSDS so that you are about 90 to 80% safe for chemical safety. Identification, then composition, all information is given in this MSDS. Okay, my request to all of you is that who are working in the laboratories, please read the MSDS, okay, before using any chemical. Similarly, whenever you buy any medicine, you get some inserts into those tablets. First, read those inserts. You can see what is the dosage. If you take overdose, if you take the less dose, what are the harms and what are the side effects? Before asking to the doctor, you must be educated yourself. Similarly, in the laboratories, if you are working, read the MSDS. These are some of the MSDS, okay, which I am showing here. Happen. These are some of the MSDS I have shown here. If you are using some chemicals, maybe 10, 20, 15, print out those MSDS from the Google and collect it alphabetically and keep it on a storage rack so that all your colleagues, they don't have to go to the Google and read separately, and you can store it and read it. Before using that chemicals, you should know what is the nature of that chemical. What is the chemical hygiene plan available? What is the chemical inventories, MSDS? All those things you must read before using those chemicals. And try to see that your housekeeping is good. Okay, if you are having the poor housekeeping, then you will lose your time, lose your money, lose your investment, and you will end up with some accidents. Okay, this is I have shown these two photographs of the poor housekeeping. Okay, this is a fume hood, but it is fully blocked with by keeping the equipments. This is another thing, okay, but this is also fully occupied. That person is not using this space, but he has fully occupied by storing the chemical glassware. That means this person is not interested in allowing the other person to use his facility, or he may be lazy. This is the wrong practice. Chemical storage, key elements. We have a lot of misunderstanding about the storage of chemicals. Okay. People, they say that, oh, chemical are to be stored alphabetically. That is the wrong practice. Chemicals are to be stored appropriate labeling. Chemicals are to be stored according to their class. What are those classes? Hazardous materials and non-hazardous materials. These are the two categories. Under hazardous, you can store alphabetically. Under non-hazardous, you can store alphabetically. Then the chemicals which are incompatible with each other, they should be stored separately. Chemicals are flammable like ethers or other flammable materials, they are to be stored separately. Like peroxide former chemicals like tetrahydrofuran, Then chemicals storage. Liquid chemicals should be stored by class. Examples of such groupings include flammables, organic acids, like different classes. Chemicals cannot be stored alphabetically. From today, you will take a oath that chemicals should not be stored alphabetically. It should be stored according to their class.
Is there PPT, sir? So is PPT is going on? PPT दिख रही है क्या आपको?
नहीं मैडम, अभी नहीं दिखती।
और सर का साउंड भी नहीं आ रहा है ना?
अभी आ रहा है क्या? Can you listen now?
Yes, yes.
Hello?
हाँ, आवाज आती है सर।
हाँ, PPT दिख रहा है?
आपकी आवाज आ रही है,
पीपीटी नहीं दिखता है सर।
PPT भी नहीं दिख रहा है।
Okay, I will end the show and then I will start.
ओके.
आवाज येतोय सर, आवाज येतोय.
आता येतो का आवाज?
आवाज येतोय सर, PPT नाही दिसत.
Can you see PPT?
आवाज येतोय सर, आवाज येतोय.
PPT, can you see?
पीपीटी दिसत नाही.
Okay, just 1 minute. What shall I do? Shall I reconnect?
Share the screen, sir.
I will reconnect. Just 1 minute. ये किसका है? बंद करो.
सर, जाधव सर.
हॅलो, हा सर बोला.
आपण सर्टिफिकेटचे 6 आपल्याला हार्ड कॉपी. तर फक्त यांना जाधव सरांना आपल्या सगळ्यांची
प्रत्येकाला आलेलं आहे ना, त्यांनी
ते म्हणतात तसं नाही, आपलं एक लगत द्या म्हणजे.
मग मी एक लिंक टाकतो, ती लिंक सगळ्यांनी भरत एक तयार केल्या खाली एक PDF तयार होईल. कोणाच्या घ्यायचं
चालेल.
तसं करतो. ती लिंक स्टाफ साठी फक्त ती स्टाफने भरून
त्यांना म्हणलं त्याच्यातून पण जमेल ना, आपलं नाव क्लिक केलं की येत आहे.
हो, एक लिंक काढतो त्याच्यात, मग म्हणजे एकच सिंगल PDF तयार.
600 रुपये आपल्याकडे जमा तो.
कशाचे?
ते वरून एक जण टाकलेत आज काल.
कशाला फाईल बंद केली.
नाही, ते काय झालं, एक जण लावतो ना, काल टाकले 600.
ओके ओके.
आणि हाफ शर्ट पाठवलं.
हा, म्हणजे अजून पब्लिश नाही झालं ते टाका माणसं.
हा, एकच हे टाकून पण दिलं 154.
ओके, चालतं.
600 त्याच्यात नाही द्यायचे ना, असंच करायचं. हो, 2 बेनिफिट. नाही, आणि 2 वेगवेगळे पब्लिकेशन ना. एक स्ट्रिंग पब्लिकेशन आणि एक वार्ता विद्यावार्ता पब्लिकेशन. मग 2 बेनिफिट आहेत तुम्हाला. काय जास्त खर्च केला असं वाटत नाही. कव्हर पेज ना फुल लेंथ ऍबस्ट्रॅक्ट बुक आपलं चालतंय. हर्षवर्धन म्हटलं सरांनी बी ते आता आहे आपल्या ह्याच आहे. नाही ओके म्हणले याला केलं कोण
I am unable to share it. I don't know. Hello?
No problem, sir. No problem. Continue, sir.
I am unable to share it.
No problem,
नाही
sir.
याचा जास्त आहे ना.
How to share it?
त्याच्यात बनवलं होतं ते आता मध्ये मध्ये देत होतो ते एखादं लावलं होतं. त्याला लावा.
Anybody guide? Hello.
Hello. I am getting message that host disabled participant screen sharing. What is mean by this?
दाखव का नाही सर ऑरेंज कलर
Hello.
सर खाली कॉलमला स्लाइड नावाचं शेअर असतं बघा.
तिथं शेअर केलं तर मला हा मेसेज येतोय.
काय मेसेज येतोय?
होस्ट डिसेबल्ड पार्टिसिपंट स्क्रीन शेअरिंग.
ओके. यू आर अनेबल टू शेअर द स्क्रीन असं झालंय. सर चालेल ना, काही प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
कैसे कंटिन्यू करू मैं?
मला काय म्हणायचंय.
Hello, respected sir.
Yes.
Kindly make the author as a host, then only he can share the slide.
पण हे म्हणले ना काही नाही आता.
No, but who will make this?
हे म्हटलं
Sir, the admin will make you the host. I request HRDC to make the sir host.
हे सगळं खाली.
Please tell them no.
काय माहिती का त्यांचे काम वाढतात.
नाही आता फायनल झाला असेल तर काही
स्पेशलिस्ट
Could you please request the admin
तिकडे एकदा दाखव.
to allow me as a host?
मी कन्फ्युज झालं.
Admin kindly make this sir co-host or host, then only he can share the slide.
I am getting that host disabled participant screen sharing.
थोडीस कन्फ्युजन. यांना दाखवलं ना नाही.
Hello.
हे म्हणले ही ह्याला काय ऑब्जेक्शन.
Hello, who can help me in this matter?
नाही काय नसतं.
काय तेवढं वाटत नाही ना आहे का.
पण त्याला सांगून बघा ना तर लाल होते काय
नाही त्यासाठीच त्याने पाठवलंय.
त्याला मुला लाल कर बोलू.
आपण ते मध्ये आय कार्ड केले होते.
ह्याला कोणती सेट देऊ सांगा.
लाल द्यावरती फक्त आपला
ते लाल ना
आपला लाल आहे.
येस
त्यांनी दाखवलं त्यांना फक्त.
नाही ते म्हणले तिकडे चला मग ते अजून जास्त म्हणलं इथंच जावं. बघा आहे का म्हणून म्हणलं सर
काय करायचं? Who can help me?
ऑरेंज आणि
Hello.
दिसायला सुंदर
ते ठेवा.
Hello.
वेगळा लावलात ना
आणि इमारत बघ किती सुंदर आहे.
दुसऱ्या फॅकल्टीला सांगतायत ते करायचं.
Okay, thank you.
ऑलरेडी कॉल केलाय सर, ते करताय आता.
Okay.
Visible now. It is visible now.
Yes. Can you see the screen?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yes. I don't know, PowerPoint show again problem.
It's okay, sir. Continue with this.
Okay. So we were talking about this chemical storage. This is done. Okay. And if you want to store the chemicals like the low boiling solvents, such type of containers are available in the market. Okay. They are the pressure-proof containers. You can store such chemicals like acetone, ether, or low boiling solvents into these containers. And there is a safety cabinet available. You can store these chemicals containers into these so that you are taking the double precaution of the safety. Okay, and this is properly labeled like the color coding, and the numbering system is 131, something like that. Don't build the multi-stories into the laboratory. If you are building multi-stories, then one day or one night, such type of accidents will happen, and the whole labs, okay, chemical will fall down, storage will fall down, there will be a big fire, and you will end up with some accidents. Then always see that how you are keeping the bottles into the rack. Most of the times in a hurry, we never bother about the safety precautions, how we are keeping the chemical bottles on the rack. Most of the times, half bottle is out, half bottle is in. The chemicals bottle fall down, there will be chance of accidents. Then, like common examples like ether, THF, dioxin, betadine, these solvents, once you open the bottle, they form the peroxides. And once they form the peroxides, and if you want to distill it, they will explode. And they will say that, oh, why that accident has taken place. So whenever you open this container of such chemicals, write a date when this container was opened. And if you are using this chemical maybe after 6 months, then it is your responsibility to remove the peroxides from those chemicals by giving some treatment. Okay, I will suggest one book for that. There is a procedure given in that book, all the purification of chemicals. So purify first and then distill it. But if you are not purifying and simply distilling, then you will end up with some explosion. Okay. Like this, suppose you are having ethyl ether, I am writing here when this bottle was open, and I am using this chemical maybe after 6 months, 1 year, 8 months. I will first remove the peroxides and then distill it, then I am safe. So if you are having metallic container and if you are keeping the container for long time, maybe ether container, you can see just white deposition. That means this chemical is fully contaminated with the peroxides. And if you are not removing the peroxides and try to distill out this chemical, then you will end up with some accidents, big explosion. Okay. First remove the peroxides. Then you can see here, avoid cluttering on the floor, on the racks. And if you are storing the chemicals in this fashion, then what will happen? One day or one night, everything will collapse, fall down, and there will be chance of accident and the chemical fires. And this is some of the pictures I have taken from the laboratories where the accidents have taken place. This is again poor housekeeping. Don't occupy the full table by storing the chemical bottles, glassware, and everything. This table is meant for working, and this is not for storing the chemical bottles. Okay, if you are preparing some important samples, okay, for your research purpose or for going for other project work, then collect those samples properly, label it properly, use the primary container and the secondary container, and preserve those samples till your thesis is over or your project is over. Like this, make a practice of storing the materials properly till your completion is done. Never build multi-stories into the laboratory. Don't keep the chemicals above your eye level. If you are keeping your chemicals above the eye level, then you will see one day or one night by taking out, pulling out this bottle, you will end up with some accidents. Then chemical spills, you should know what type of spill it is, whether it is a small spill or a big spill, and you should know how to react in such emergencies. Okay, if it is a spill is of more, maybe more 4 liter or other than, then you should not act yourself. You take the help of your safety officer or the expert people who are expert in that area. Assess what type of material it is, what is the hazardous nature. Always wear the personal protective equipments. Spill is greater than 4 liter, then you should always take the proper precautions and you should act it. Mercury spills, most of the times, these mercury spills happens in the laboratory when we use the mercury thermometers. Friends, nowadays the mercury thermometers are totally banned. You have to replace the mercury thermometer with the alcohol thermometer. If still you are using the mercury thermometer, then you will get the less marks if you are going for the NAC audit, because mercury is a highly corrosive material which is not allowed into the laboratory even for the thermometers. Then you should have the first aid box. First aid box is to be kept in each and every laboratory. Always see that all the content in that first aid box is not expired. Whenever I go for the NAC audit and I see that most of the chemicals are expired and you are showing such type of first aid box to the NAC audit, and how will get the good marks? Okay, you have not bothered because that fellow will tell, oh, last time when there was a NAC audit, at that time we have purchased this first aid box and now still it is lying in the same condition. So this is a very wrong practice. An emergency response in case of any fire, in case of any emergency, you should know the emergency phone numbers to call in case of such accidents. Whenever there is any accident happening into the laboratory, whether it is a fire or any other accident, first try to evacuate the lab. Come out to a common assembly point and don't think that why that accident has happened. Okay? Whether it is a fire or whether there is any other accident, come out of this lab and first try to extinguish the fire by calling some people and take the help. You should know fire extinguishers, how to use it. Then you should know what type of fire extinguisher is to be used for different types of fire, whether it is a wet fire or whether it is a dry fire. Then you should know, you should have the proper training of using the fire extinguishers. Most of the times fire extinguishers are there, but people, they are not trained. Nobody knows how to extinguish the fire because that person is not trained and he don't know how to use the fire extinguisher. Another thing, he don't know what type of fire, which type of fire extinguisher is to be used. So a proper safety training is required for using such type of equipment. So this is the fire extinguisher. I have shown here the photograph. Okay, such type of fire extinguishers are available on that. All details are there. When this fire extinguisher was serviced, what is the date and what is the expiry date. Okay, then I'm coming to this eye wash shower. You should establish one eye wash shower also into the laboratory along with this fire extinguisher. Then if you are using the gas, different gases like the hydrogen, nitrogen or other gases, you should have the emergency shut-off valve. First of all, the cylinders are not allowed into the laboratory. Cylinders are kept out of laboratory and the gas should be taken into the laboratory to the proper piping. Then you should know what type of fire is to be extinguished with what type of things are used for extinguishing the fires. For example, solid material like wood, paper, textiles, you should use water, foam can be used. Flammable liquids like solvent, oil, tar, paint, etc., dry powder or CO2 it can be used. For LPG or the gaseous substances, you should use the dry powder or the CO2. Then light metals like sodium, potassium, zinc, other thing, dry sand, kishalgar or dry powder is to be used. For electrical installations, CO2 may be small fires, dry powder. This is very important. Sheet, such type of sheet is to be printed and pasted into the laboratory so that people, they know that what type of fire extinguisher is to be used for different types of fires. Then the personal equipments, I will come to these gloves, then hand gloves, lab coats, safety shoes, and all these things. You should wear such type of safety attire when you are working into this laboratory. Then such type of label should be pasted on the door so that each and every person will start wearing the lab coats whenever he is performing the operations. Like the hand gloves, different types of hand gloves are available, maybe for acids, maybe for bases, and for the common purposes. So they are color coded and it has a different color coding for different types of uses. Then the available protection for the eyes. Even though if you are having the spectacles, above this you have to wear the safety goggles. Okay, so that you are doubly safe. If you don't have the glasses, you start wearing the normal safety glasses for taking the safety precautions. And if you are having the contact lenses, you have to take the proper precautions. For the specific types of safety goggles are to be used. If you are wearing the contact lenses also in chemical environment, you have to take the proper precautions. And this is very simple mathematics. If you don't wear the safety glasses into the laboratory, perform the operations, then simple mathematics 2 minus 1 is equal to 1 and 1 minus 1 is equal to total brightness. suppose you want to lose your eyes, then never use the glasses. If you want to protect yourself, protect your eyes, always wear the safety glasses whenever you are entering into the lab. If you are performing the radioactive experiments, you must have seen in the hospitals, X-ray rooms, people, they wear different types of coats. Okay, such type of coats should be used for the personal protection equipment. These are the eye showers. Eye showers, they are available in the different kinds. Simply you can install such type of eye showers on the wash basin also. But don't create such situation. Eye shower is installed here, but there is no approach road because the approach passage is totally blocked by storing either chemical bottles or the other junk material. Such type of safety showers, you can install it whether in the washroom, in the laboratories, or any other places, and they are not very expensive. Okay. Nowadays, plastic eye showers are available. Simply you can install it on the wash basin also. Respirators, suppose if you are dealing with different gases, respirators are must. Okay. Respirators are to be used so that inhalation of different gases going into your body can be avoided. Such type of respirators are available. There are different types of membrane which can filter those gases and you can inhale those. Respirator use, there is a standard operating procedure how to use this for different types of gases and different types of filters. They are available. Then biosafety cabinets, if you are performing the biosafety operations, there are biosafety cabinets like class 1, class 2, class 2A and class 2B. You must have seen in the hospitals or the microbiology laboratories, they use such type of biosafety cabinets. The gas cylinders, if you are using the gas cylinders, you have to take proper precautions. First of all, gas cylinders are not allowed into the laboratory. And if you are keeping it to the laboratory, this should be properly chained to the wall. Okay, this should not be kept as such. There are several accidents reported. The cylinders has fallen down because somebody has hit the cylinder while going here and there or carrying some material from one place to the other place, and some accidents are reported. So the cylinder should be properly chained and kept into the laboratory. If you are keeping out of the laboratory, that is more safe practice, and take the gas through the piping into the laboratory. Then fume hoods, you are having fume hoods, see that the fume hoods are working. All the flammable operations are to be performed into the fume hoods only. But don't store all the chemicals into don't use this as a storage room. I have seen in most of the laboratories, the fume hoods are completely occupied by storing different glassware, chemicals, bottles, or the other things. This is a wrong practice. Okay. And you see that your fume hoods exhaust should be working. Most of the times fume hoods are installed, but there is no exhaust or the exhaust doesn't work. Then what is the use of installing such fume hoods? There are different types of color codings. If you are buying the latest fume hoods, such type of color coding knobs are available for different gases, and even the color coding certification you have to put it. Certificate, it should be certified quarterly. If a white card means it is working properly. If it is a yellow card, means it is working marginally. And if it is red, means this fume hood doesn't work. Whenever a safety audit team comes, he will see such type of color coding charts. Then emergency shut-off valve, if you are taking the gas from the piping from the outside through cylinders into the lab, it should have an emergency shut-off valve so that in case of any leakage, you should be able to go and stop the emergency shut-off valve. Similarly, the fume hoods, you see there the fume hoods are working properly by putting a simple flag. The fume hoods are not to be used for storing the different equipments, glasswares, etc. Okay. The biosafety cabinets also same thing. Don't keep it into the fume hoods and occupy those. Such type of chimneys are available. You can install such chimneys on the bench top so that if you are using some oil baths and other things, the vapors are sucked by these chimneys. But this should be properly kept, not in this direction. Okay, the system should be just below this fume hood. Then glassware friends, whatever the glassware is a broken glassware is 100% recycled. It is a Corning glass. There are outside people who will come to your lab, collect the broken glassware if you have collected properly. Then if you are generating some sharps or some other thing, it should be collected properly into this metal dustbin. Collect it properly and send it for the recycling disposal. You should know what is flammable material, what is combustibility of different materials. What are flammable means flash point below 100 degrees. Highly flammable means flash point 73. This thing, you should know all these categories. The toxicology, toxicity, you should know what is meant by toxicity. These are the labels of the toxicity. You should know what is meant by dose, means concentration into exposure time. You should know what is acute and what is chronic. Alcohol consumption is an example of acute versus chronic. Then local versus systemic toxicity means PET flea shampoo. If you are using that shampoo, that comes under that category. You should know what is PEL and IDLH. What is PEL means? What is the permissible exposure level of each chemical? This OSHA is an organization who certifies, who gives these certificates. Then IDLH means immediately dangerous to health, which you should know what are the chemicals coming under those categories. Then how this chemical exposure, chemicals goes into your body: inhalation, ingestion, skin absorption, and ingestion. These are the 4 ways any chemical goes into your body whenever you are performing the operations into the laboratories. Then you should know different toxicology definitions. What is aspigent? Aspigent example is carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. Allergen or sanitizer example is dicyclocarbamide, different isocyanates, organophosphates, heavy metals. Carcinogen, benzene is the best example of carcinogenic material. If you are using the benzene, is totally banned now into the laboratories. And if an NAC team comes and visits to your lab and you are showing that we are still using benzene, then you will lose all the marks. You have to replace benzene with the substituted benzene. Okay, benzene is a highly carcinogenic material, is a cancer suspecting agent. Then teratogens is a reproductive toxins which may damage to the fetus, like dioxin and DS. Then mutagens, which are reproductive toxins which may damage to this fetus. So OSHA has certified 13 carcinogens. I will show that list. Then NTP has listed known to be carcinogens. There are different groups who have certified the different carcinogens. This is a list, and you can see here benzene is coming at the 6th category, which is a highly carcinogenic material. Friends, if you are using benzene for any purpose into the laboratory, try to replace benzene with the substituted benzene like toluene, xylene, or other chemicals. So if you still you want to use this for your work, discuss with your supervisor, read the MS material safety data sheets and take the proper precautions. Okay. Compounds working with non-untoxicity, if you are read the MSDS, take the proper precautions, discuss with your supervisor, okay, and then use it. If a pregnant woman is working into the laboratory, she should always worry about the teratogens. If she is dealing with such chemicals, she should always worry about this. Then chemical waste disposal, how to dispose of different waste, general waste, collect in a trash cans, solvents, pour the solvents into the solvent waste container. From today, you take a oath that I will never throw not a drop of solvent into the wash basin. I will collect my used solvents into a container, then either I will recycle it or dispose by following the proper safety procedure. Then solvent rags, place in a septic cans, add the chemical name. Then acids and bases dilute with water and dispose with the plastic drains. Never throw into the drain. Acid and caustic rat, wash them thoroughly and collect it properly. But from today, take a oath that don't dump any chemical into the drain from today. Then organic waste solvents, similarly, if you know same solvent, if you are using, recycle, reuse, or bottle it. And if it is a mixture of solvent, collect it properly and dispose of it properly by following the safety precautions. Similarly, for acids and bases, collect it separately and dispose of. For hazardous material, follow the same procedure. Okay, if you don't understand the procedures, go to this website, www.safety.gatage.edu. This will tell you all the procedures for the different hazardous waste materials, how to dispose of. Then mandatory safety rules, comply with emergency evacuation procedure. If something happens into the laboratory, come to the assembly point and evacuate the lab. Access to eyewash, drainage hoses, septic showers, and all should be available. It should be known to all the people who are working. Eating and drinking in the laboratories and animal rooms is prohibited. Adequate eye protection must be worn in the areas. Whenever you are entering into the chemical lab, you should wear the safety attire. Open-toed shoes, slippers, they are not allowed. Wear the footwear which is safe for your shoe legs. All fires that cannot be extinguished with fire extinguisher. If the fire is small, you can extinguish yourself. If the fire is big, you take the help of the safety people. Then fires that have been extinguished must be reported. Any accident performing into the laboratory, you should have the accident report. Make a practice of writing the accident reports and record it. Whenever the NAC team comes to your college, they will ask for such type of reports. And if you don't have the reports, then they will say that you are not following the safety precaution or the safety protocols. And then you will lose the marks. Then immediately report any work related to the injury and anything. That's why I always write the reports. The tasks which are present unusual hazards may be reviewed with your supervisor. If you don't know of handling of any chemicals, ask to your seniors, ask to your supervisor and take the help. Labels or containers must not be disabled. Always see that labels are intact. Don't go by judgment on the smells and the color coding. Okay. Then any chemicals or biological experiment compounds or other hazardous materials must be shipped properly by following the safety precautions. When working with selected carcinogenic, comply with all the safety procedures like benzene, I told you, is a highly carcinogenic material. You want to use it, discuss with your supervisor or try to replace with substituted benzene. Pipetting by mouth is forbidden. Never pipette any chemical by mouth. Use a pro-pipetter. Is anyone in this room is still awake? Always ask a question. Whenever I am performing any experiment, all people should know that I am doing something. And gas cylinders must be secured properly, as I told you. Materials of the offensive odors like pyridine and other things must be decontaminated properly. Don't modify electrical connections yourself and don't multiply the connections. This is an important safety sheets. Such type of safety sheets will be asked by your NAC committee. What are the safety laboratory safety inspection checklist? These are different items. And if you found that there are several reds or yellows, then you have to stop working to this laboratory and take the proper precautions. Such type of laboratory audit reports will be asked by the NAC coordinator during their visits. And if you say that we don't have accidents, then you will lose marks. In a laboratory, always there will be some accident. It may be a small accident, it may be a big accident, or it may be a medium scale accident. But you should have the reporting system. Okay, and it should be signed by the supervisor, signed by the safety coordinator, and signed by your HOD. Such type of reports are to be compiled and shown to the NAC committee members. Last not but least, before you leave your work area each day, overnight operations are properly set up. Water lines are properly closed. If you are performing overnight operations, always see that it is informed to somebody and water lines are adequately clamped. Heat sources are turned off, foods are slashes on, chemicals and biological agents are stored properly. Always think about safety when you are working in the laboratories. And this I have shown here, what does it mean by lab safety? Label everything clearly, avoid floor, nothing should be on floor, be neat and orderly, store only what you will use, always wear protective clothing, food allowed in eating areas, never eat into the laboratory. Go to the outside, eat there, finish your thing, take the leftovers, don't throw anywhere into the laboratory. Everything in its own place. Time to inventory and organize, and your safety is very important. Enjoy your chemistry, enjoy your different science, and always be safe. Okay? And if you love life, love safety, we need you, work safely. This slogan is to be pasted into the laboratory. Then only you will be safe. And if you are interested more, I will circulate a copy of the e-copy of this book, How to Purify Different Solvents. Alphabetically, all the solvents purification procedures are listed in this book. This is a very important book. Take a printout of this book and keep into your laboratory. This is a very important book. And you don't have to ask to anybody else. Read the procedure given in this book. All are alphabetically given in this book. This is my laboratory where I spent about my 4 decades of my life. When we celebrated the 50 years when we celebrated the 75 years in the last month. And lastly, if you have any questions or queries, I'll be very happy to answer. Sorry for the inconvenience caused during my presentations. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. If you have any questions, queries, I will be happy to answer. Hello? Hello?
Okay, sir. It's a nice lecture, which gives us a depthful knowledge regarding with this chemical disaster management, and also regarding with your a great experience in the NCL laboratories, and it is might useful to all of us, especially the science teachers, in their working time in laboratory. So very valuable information, and with certain tools you have to give, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
Yeah.
So can I stop share now?
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, thank you very much.
Thank
Dr.
you. Thank
Chavan
you.
speaking.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing your valuable knowledge and experience with our participants.
It is my pleasure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
सर सॉरी बरं का मगाशी ते
Thank you.
नेट गेलं त्याच्यामुळे तो स्पीकर ऑन आपोआप झालता म्यूट झालता एक्स्ट्रीमली सॉरी सर
हॅलो सर, थँक्यू व्हेरी मच.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
ओके.
थँक्यू सर थँक्यू
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.